22-year-old makeup artist Kelly Luster is suing her ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old general contractor Herbert Fair, for unpaid credit card charges and for the balance of a computer.
Ms. Luster, according to your complaint, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Correct.
And there was a time when you allowed him to make purchases on a credit card.
Correct.
When you broke up, you put a stop on that credit card and said that you no longer wanted him to be able to make purchases on it, and the next day or something he made $677 worth of payments on the credit card. You say that there have been no payments on that amount and you want him to pay you that amount because you're not together anymore and you don't want to be bothered with him and come chasing him, and the bank is looking for you and it affects your credit.
Correct.
In addition, you allowed him to purchase a computer on your credit card.
We opened up a gateway account, and it was under my name because I had good credit, and we paid the payments together. We lived together for about 3 years, and the payments were fine. We paid them together, and as soon as we broke up, I was paying the payments and the computer remained at his house.
He agrees that he put that money on the credit card, $677.
I do.
And what's left on the computer is what?
The amount is $1,357.88.
Now, Mr. Fair says he did pay for a substantial amount of the computer, and he does acknowledge that there is an additional amount owing on the computer. His defense is that he made some sort of a loan for some plastic surgery that you had.
It doesn't matter what the loan was, Your Honor. I just basically...
He loaned me money.
I lent her money. I just...
Well, that's what you say in your answer.
Doesn't
so
matter
you want
what
to tell
it
me
is.
about this loan that you say negates the $677 as well as the $1,357 that's left on the computer that is in your possession.
This is true.
Well, tell me.
Well,
what loan did you make her?
I gave her a loan. It doesn't really matter what it was. I mean, I was with her for 3.5 years, and I was basically, putting her through school and doing some things, for her. And basically, I felt that I didn't have to make the payments no more on the computer because of so much money that I had invested into this relationship as well.
Your Honor, I paid him back the loan that he gave to me. So that has nothing to do with the computer. I paid him back every single dime that he lent me. So it has nothing...
Did you?
Yes.
But she was supposed to pay me back, but she didn't pay me back on time.
But I still paid him back. He was still paid back. I mean...
How much did you borrow from him?
I borrowed $3,000 from him, and he was paid back every single dime.
Is
He
that
wasn't
correct,
paid
sir?
back exactly.
I was paid
the
it
time.
back, yeah, but not the time that I was told that I was going to be paid back.
Were you paid back before you broke up?
Yes.
Yes.
So it wasn't an issue.
Yes, I don't even know why he's even bringing that up. I think he's just using that because he knows that he owes me for these things.
So what is your defense, sir? I don't know what your defense is, Mr. Fair. If that's not your defense...
like I said, 3.5 years of being into this relationship with her and stuff, and I took care of her basically for 3.5 years. I felt that I didn't need to pay these both bills, and these are basically it between her and I. So.
As you can see why I don't want to be with him any longer. I paid him back every single dime that...
He says that you paid him back.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the money that he owes me. And he knows that he owes me this money, and he's just trying to make excuses and make up stupid things. I even have proof. I have the bills, if you want to see them.
He doesn't deny the bills, Miss Luster. He doesn't deny the bills, and he doesn't have a defense. So judgment
Never does.
Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,034.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, excuse you may step out.
47-year-old administrator Beverly Briscoe is suing her ex-husband, 49-year-old hairstylist Adolph Briscoe, for illegally repossessing her car. Adolph is countersuing for car payments, the cost of insurance, and credit card bills.
Ms. Briscoe, the defendant is your former husband.
Yes, yes.
You were married but have been divorced for many years.
Yes.
And to your credit, according to both of you, I assume, you've remained friends.
Yes, we did.
Good. And then you did a very foolish thing. You decided to buy a car from him.
Yes, I did.
Here goes the trouble. When did you decide to purchase the car?
On March the 15th
Of this year?
of this year.
You purchased the car for $8,000 in total.
Yes.
$4,000 was to go to Mr. Briscoe.
Yes.
The other $4,000 was what was outstanding on the loan.
Yes.
You did not change the loan to put it in her name. She was going to make the payments herself.
Yes, ma'am.
So you first paid him a total of?
$1,500 on the 15th of March.
Oh, and then you made an additional payment to him. On what
Yes,
date?
On the 29th, I gave him $500. On April the 12th, I gave him $500. On April the 28th, I gave him $500.
That is
On
not
May
so.
the 12th, I gave him another $500. I have everything down here with my bank statements and everything.
Okay, let me see your bank statement. Or just take out your bank statement, don't. Just give me the whole portfolio.
And the days that I got paid, and Mr. Briscoe I had written down the dates that I got paid.
All right, so in total you claim you gave him $3,500.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to what I've read, you made an additional 2 payments to the bank.
Yes.
And then in the 3rd month, he claims you were late in the car payment, and he came and repossessed the car.
Yes, a day late. I didn't breach my contract with Mr. Briscoe. He was very upset at me because someone that I chose to be in my life, and this is the person here.
I don't care. I put the
Okay.
picture away. I don't care who you chose to be in your life.
But that's why he was upset, and he chose to come get the car from me on the 21st of May.
When is the car payment due?
On the 20th.
On the 20th.
Had you mailed the payment in?
I was getting ready to mail it on the 22nd.
So you hadn't mailed it in?
No, I haven't.
So they weren't going to get it at least for another 2 or 3
Yes,
days?
and the month before that, I mailed it on the 26th. He didn't give me a call then. That's when we were still friends.
Did she give you $3,500?
No, she did not.
How much did she give you, sir?
She gave me $2,500.
Well, this doesn't show. This just shows that you took out money.
I have money orders on the back.
Money orders.
Yes, of $500.
Just a minute. I have 5, 10, 15.
And the other 2 I gave him
$1,500.
cash. I can't show you anything because I gave him cash the first 2 times. He know that I gave him $1,500. Then I gave on the 29th. I gave him.
Was it $1,500 in cash, sir?
Yes, it was.
Then I have 3 money orders made out to you in the amount of $500 each, which brings the total on this to $3,000, not $2,500.
Then I am $500 off.
When I gave him $1,500, that was
He
cash.
acknowledges that you gave him the $1,500
But he can't
in
remember
cash.
the other on the 29th. He can't remember
Maybe
that
not.
also. No.
Okay, it's $3,000. The 2 car payments that you made to him, he drove the car
Yes.
for those 2
I don't
months.
want the money back for that.
Fine.
Because I drove the car.
Okay, now let's get to your counterclaim, Mr. Briscoe. According to you, several years ago you weren't feeling well, and your former wife came to take care of you, and
A
you were
year.
feeling very benevolent towards her. So you decided to give her a credit card to help her out, or a
Yes.
couple of credit cards to help
Yes.
her out. Tell me about these credit cards. Did you take
Yes, he
credit
gave
cards
me the
from him?
credit cards. He gave them to me in December. I have payments that I made each month to the credit card place. Adolph eventually turned them off. I have a tape that he said he's going to cut everything off when we had the argument on April the 20th.
So how much do you owe on the credit cards?
I owed, I believe on one of them I owe like maybe $900.
And on the other one?
Probably about 2 or 3.
How much does she owe on the credit cards?
She owes $1,500 total.
Show me.
On
Just show me. She may not be 100% right. She's not so far off.
And Judge Judy, he turned them off, so I couldn't make arrangements to pay them.
Okay.
Because they said they cut off, they're closed, lost credit cards. I couldn't make any arrangement. He closed them out.
$1,250. Well, that's about what you said.
Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
Okay. Now, you want her to pay what else, sir?
There's another credit card as well for $500, which
Show
I
me.
have told I have paid $200.
No, I have to see the balance. I have to see her balance on that credit card.
They were going to send me all of that, and they didn't send it in
Well,
time.
I can't help you with that,
Okay.
And
sir.
Judge Judy, they'll just do $29. And Adolph, if he wouldn't have turned it off, I could pay that.
You owe him the money.
Okay.
My question to you, Mr. Briscoe,
Yes.
is why didn't you give her back the money she had paid you? You took the car back.
Right.
Do you think you're entitled to keep the $3,000 that she paid you for
Absolutely, I
the car?
have.
Shh.
You
So
asked
the
me.
answer is yes. You think
Yes.
you're entitled to keep that money.
Absolutely.
Well, explain to me why, sir.
Your Honor, when they collect your car and you don't pay your payments, no one gives you
Adolph,
any
you
money
were
back.
late for 2
Mrs.
months when I
Briscoe,
took care of
Miss
you.
Briscoe,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear you when he's speaking. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You are not Ford Motor Corporation.
I am the one that's
You are not.
responsible for
You
the
are
car.
not Ford Motor Corporation. If after
So
2
she
months,
drives
sir,
my
I'm
car for
speaking,
3 months?
try not to speak over me, Mr. Briscoe. You will be unsuccessful. If she paid you $3,000, and I'm discounting the money she says she gave you in cash because she has no
She didn't
proof
give
of
me
that.
any money. Yes.
I'm speaking. If she gave you $3,000 and you took the car back within 2 months, you don't get to keep her
3 months.
$3,000. 3 months.
Yes.
You don't get to keep her $3,000. In addition, for the car payments she made, part of that went towards your principal on your loan. That helped you out a little bit, but she drove the car, and I'm not going to get into the pennies that it was to pay off certain percentage of the loan over the 2 months period, but you certainly came out on top with regard to that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand, absolutely.
Well, if he doesn't understand, if you had time, you'll explain it to him outside. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,788, which deducts what you owe for the credit card. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Daycare provider Denise Ray and her children, 13-year-old Jaquan Pettigrew and 10-year-old Ebony Pettigrew, are suing former friend, 55-year-old school teacher William Alexander, for the return of 2 $1,000 savings bonds.
Miss Ray, according to your complaint, you've known the defendant for most of your life. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's been sort of a mentor to you and to your family. According to him, he even raised one of your children. Is that right?
No, not necessarily.
Well, what do you mean not necessarily? You had 3 children?
Yes, I did.
An older boy.
Yes.
Did the oldest boy live with you continuously until he reached the age of 18?
No.
Who did he live with?
The defendant.
Right. Well, that's what I said.
Okay.
According to you, there came a time several years ago when you came into some money as a result of a claim because of the earthquake
Yeah.
in California. You had a couple of $1,000, and you wanted to put aside some of that money for your children.
Yeah.
So you asked the defendant to get savings bonds for your 3 children.
Yes.
How much money did you give him to get the savings bonds?
$1,500.
$1,500. So
Yes.
you wanted a $500 savings bond for each of your 3 children.
Yes.
Now, one of the children, the oldest child, whose name is
Edward.
Edward. Did Edward get his bond?
He's here. Yes.
Edward,
Yeah.
did you get your bond?
Yeah.
From Mr. Alexander.
Yeah.
That leaves 2 $500 bonds left.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
That Mr. Alexander is holding for your children. And you want
The bond's double value, Your Honor, to $1,000.
well, when did you give him the money?
In '94,
Okay.
August 8th. Well, approximately August 8th,
Okay.
1994.
Where are the bonds, Mr. Alexander?
I have them here, and they were
May I
purchased.
see them, please?
Yes.
Sir. Sir.
Okay. And they were purchased August 11th, 1994.
3 days off.
Well, they are $1,000 bonds.
Yes.
In the names of the children or Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Tell me why you want these bonds now.
At
Tell
the-
me why you want to hold them for your children.
Because I want no more dealings with Mr. William Alexander. Of course, I know some statements were made in his statement regarding my lifestyle at the time. I'm not in denial anymore. Yes, I had a substance abuse history. But the thing about it, what led up to my substance abuse history was kept hidden in the dark for years.
Was that his fear? And was that your fear? Is that
was
why
my
you
fear.
gave him the money to buy the bonds for the children? Rather than buying them yourself?
No, at the time that we were to purchase the bonds, I didn't have Edward's social security number. The day that we were at the bank purchasing the bonds, I filled out all the original paperwork with my name as payee for these children until they turned 18 for these bonds. Mr. Alexander asked me to let him hold the money and the paperwork until that following Monday. I says, okay, I'll trust you. Come that following week, when I asked Mr. Alexander for the bonds or my money, he told me he wasn't giving them to me.
I assume that you let him hold these bonds all of these years because you trusted him,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You
and then-
trusted him, and he certainly did everything that he could to live up to that trust because here are the bonds. He hasn't done anything with them. Here they are.
Okay, but Your Honor, it's more to the story than
I don't want no more dealings with Mr. Alexander. Mr. Alexander is...
Don't want any more dealings with Mr. Alexander. Do you have a problem with her holding the bonds for the children?
No, I don't have a problem at all.
Fine, good.
Okay.
Because she really can't cash them.
No.
Because they are for either of the children or you.
Exactly.
So if she went in to cash the bonds, she could not cash them. These bonds are going to have to sit there until the children reach their majority.
I gave the bonds to her last year when she asked, and she became angry because I wouldn't sign them over. I said, if you want the bonds, you may keep the bonds until the children are 18. It's their money.
Right.
No.
No what?
No, he did not.
Okay, no, just so we don't have a problem anymore.
I want my bonds changed over to their godmother.
No. You can't have that. Period. I'm not doing that. You can hold your children's bonds because that's what you want to do. If you feel as if you have a safe place in your home or if you have a bank vault, you can take the bonds and put them there and wait for your children to reach their majority, and then you give them the bonds, and at that time they should be even worth more than $1,000.
Exactly.
Because it's a while. How old are you?
10.
And you?
13.
13. Well, got a way to go. These are going to be worth a lot more than $1,000.
But I paid for those bonds.
So what? What do you want me to do?
I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't want nothing.
You don't have anything to do with
but
it,
his
madam.
name is on them.
You're absolutely right, which means that you cannot cash them. The only thing that means is you cannot cash them. These are for the children. This is what you intended it for. You intended these bonds for the children.
But I didn't intend for his name to be on them, Your Honor.
Well, then don't look at them. Don't look at them. Put them away, and when your children reach the age of 18, you give each of your children a bond. One of the children should have about $2,000.
They don't need his assistance for anything, right?
No, to me, to do these?
I just don't want him in my
not.
children's life, period.
Listen to me. All this says is Ebony or William. Means either one of them can sign these bonds, but Ebony can't do it until she's 18.
Okay.
Yes.
And Juwan can't do it until he's 18. Other than that, these are your children's bonds. Perfect. We've just resolved this case. Okay. Give her the bonds.
Whatever.
Mr. Alexander, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You don't have control of that.
Parties are excused. You may step back. Yeah, this is case number 213 on the calendar, the matter of Bowman versus Benningfield.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
You're Miss Bowman.
I'm Miss Bowman, her mother.
Okay, but you weren't there.
No, I was not there at the time.
Why don't you
Thank
have a seat? Ms. Bowman, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Right.
Who's going to take his hands out of his pockets as we speak. Very good. And according to your complaint, after you broke up with him, two things happened. You claimed that he trashed your car, causing substantial damage, and also in a scuffle over a knife, he caused you to cut yourself, and you want him to pay your medical bills. When did you break up with him, and where did this happen?
At his home on June 27th.
How long had you been going out with him?
Since February.
Did you tell him in person that you were breaking up with him?
Yes, ma'am.
At what time of the day or evening did you tell him?
7.
You broke up with him on the 27th?
Right.
At about 7 o'clock in the evening?
Right.
And then I assume you left?
Right.
Was there any discussion at that time?
No, his sister and I both left after I broke up with him.
What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
We had gotten in an argument, and I was just like, it's over. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let's just break up.
Did he say anything?
No, a normal breakup.
I mean, don't remember.
Not like...
And then you left?
Right.
Did you subsequently come back to the house?
Yeah, later on that evening.
What time?
Yes. It was probably around 3 o'clock in the morning.
And who did you come back with?
His sister.
And what happened when you came back at 3 o'clock in the morning?
We went to sleep, and nothing happened. We woke...
Who went to sleep?
Sarah and I.
Where?
In Sarah's room.
Okay. So you went to sleep at 3 o'clock. What happened when you got up?
We woke up.
What time?
Maybe around 11. We were going to the hospital to visit his mom in the hospital, Sarah's mom also. Then we went to the hospital, came back around 4:30, and when I got back, I looked at my car and I noticed that it had been really bad kicked. And
where had you parked your car?
In their driveway.
Now, when you left at 11 o'clock in the morning to go to visit his mother in the hospital with your friend Sarah,
right?
Did you see your car?
No, I had not paid any attention to it whatsoever.
When was the last time you had actually looked at your car?
And no damage had been done to it?
Yeah.
The day before, on the 27th.
What time?
8.
8 at night.
Right. When Sarah and I had left, there was nothing wrong with my car.
Do you have a photograph of your car after
Yeah.
the damage? That was from a movie, right? I always loved that movie, right? What movie was that?
Got to think about that one.
Oh, I know
Get
what it
Shorty?
was. I know. No. I know what it was. I know what it was. Runaway Bride. It was Runaway Bride. When he,
I didn't see that one.
oh, no, that's a ladies' movie. Did you see the movie?
No, ma'am.
But you know what I mean when I say look in my eyes.
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So someone did a real number on your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you went into the house?
And called my mom, told her what had happened.
And that's why your mom is here, because the car is really your mom's.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And called the police. She told me to call the police. He was telling me, don't call them, it's not that big of a deal. And I called the police.
Well, did you ask him what happened to the car?
I said, what happened? I don't know.
And he said, I don't
wasn't
know.
here. Right.
And then you said you were going to call the police.
Right.
And what did he say when you said you were going to call the police?
Don't call the police, it's not that big of a deal.
And what did you say to him?
I said, my mom says I have to. So I went ahead and called the police, made a report, and when I had called the police, the officer came to his house, and the officer came, I made a police report. He said, did he do it? The police officer asked me if he did it and thought I was protecting him, but I didn't have any idea. You know, I thought in my mind that he did do it, but there was no, I saw you do it. So that.
Right. So what happened next?
Well, after the police officer had came, he wanted to talk to me. I was really upset. I was crying. I was really upset. And I was like, no. You know, Sarah and I were getting ready. We're going to get dressed, and then we were going to go out that night. And we were arguing. And I don't know how it all started, but he pushed me. Sarah got up. Sarah and him started fighting. And then I got in the fight because I didn't want Sarah or either one of them to get hurt. And we were all just started a big fight. And then he started grabbing knives and was like, I'm going to...
You're lying.
He started grabbing knives saying he was going to kill himself. First he held it to his stomach. Then he said to his wrist and everything else. All the meanwhile, Sarah and his 9-year-old cousin are both there. And after that, he had grabbed a steak knife. And he was like, I'm going to kill myself. We were standing over by the refrigerator. Sarah and his cousin were in the living room by the phone getting ready to call the police. And when he went like this, I put my hand like this, and that's how I got stabbed.
So you were trying to
prevent
right. him from hurting himself.
Exactly.
Okay. Did your cut require stitches?
Yes.
How many?
2. But it is 2.5 centimeters deep. My palm is numb. Half my thumb is numb. I'm still going to hand specialist to see.
Miss Bowman, I just have a couple of questions for you. You break up with this guy. He has a sister who's clearly a friend of yours. Don't you think it's a good idea that after you break up with him, you don't go back to his house and contemplate going out with his sister and hanging out with his sister so that he's aware of all these things?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
His sister was my best friend. We had been...
So what? So let your sister come to your house.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
It's just not smart.
Right.
You know, it sort of says to him, trash to you.
Right.
You know, I'm going out with my friends. I'm going to go have a good time, and I don't care if you're heartbroken, and I don't care if you're miserable, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just not smart.
Right.
Not thinking. You know, you didn't think.
Right.
Anything?
I tried to keep the relationship between us after the incident kind of steady, so...
You can't keep it steady. It was just 24 hours old.
I'm talking about after.
I'm talking about at the time of this incident. The breakup was 24 hours old, and you're gallivanting around town, hanging out and doing whatever you want to do with his sister and coming home 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'm not being judgmental about that. Right. I'm just saying to you, don't do it in front of him.
Right.
Because it made him mad.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenna Bowman says ex-boyfriend John Benningfield Jr. kicked her car in a fit of jealous rage. Jenna also claims she was cut with a knife when John tried to kill himself.
Let us start with incident number 2. Let's hear your version of the knife incident.
Okay, well, see, yeah, we was arguing, you know, and
What were you arguing about?
yeah, I really can't remember. But we was arguing and stuff, and I was like, well, I'm just going to leave, you know, I'm just going to get out of here. And she was like, well, why don't you go kill yourself, or why don't you go kill yourself, or something like that in that
Excuse
area.
me?
In that area. And I was like, well, do you want me to? Because I was just so mad, you know, and so frustrated.
What were you mad about?
Just because we broke up, you know, and I did like her, you know, kind of a lot. We went out for, what, 6 months? And, you know, I mean, that's pretty longest relationship I've ever been in. And
So you were really mad?
yeah, and I was just like, okay. And I mean, I didn't have it up like this. I had it right here across my, you know, right here. And then my sister tried to stop me, and I was trying to protect the knife so she wouldn't get cut, you know. And then I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, she runs over here and she gets cut. And then as soon as I see she's cut, I threw the knife in the sink and then helped her, you know, tended to her. Like, I got to town, you know, and started. I told Sarah and them to call 911 because I didn't know, you know, how bad it was. And then, yeah, the police came and...
Well, that was the second time the police had come.
Yeah, yeah.
Police came twice. The first time they came about the car.
Car, yes, ma'am. And they took me. They gave me. They was going to take me to jail, but they
Take you to jail for what?
For assault with a deadly weapon. Because I guess she was going to press charges against me, but they ended up didn't, and then took me to rehab.
Well, she really assaulted herself with the deadly weapon that you were holding.
Yeah. Right? Right. That's why they took me to rehab, to the hospital, instead of taking me to jail.
Well, there's a difference between rehab and a hospital.
It's in the hospital. It's rehab in a hospital.
What kind of rehab?
It's
a...
I was trying to think. I don't know. It's just they got a bunch of for drugs and for people that are.
Well, for drugs.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Who were you hanging out with that evening?
Josh Cato, my friend. See, the 27th, when her car was we supposedly did it, we was in Gap Hollow in, where is that? Elizabeth, Indiana. And we didn't leave there until like 4 o'clock in the morning. And when we left there, we went back to his house. And when we got up at his house about noon, I come back to the house, and she was like, what did you do to my car? Why did you do this to my car? And I'm
well,
like,
at the time she left the evening before with your sister, you weren't in Gap Hollow. You weren't there. You were home because she said, I'm leaving and I don't want to talk about it anymore. You were home.
Right. When they left, we pulled out of the driveway because he parked his truck in our second driveway, and she was parked with my sister and my cousin, and they was going to the hospital.
Who do you think kicked her car?
I have no idea, because his truck said 2 weeks before we moved into that house, somebody took a baseball bat and keyed his truck.
Why would you tell her not to call the police?
I don't remember saying not to call the police.
Yeah, you did. Why would you say don't call the police? It's no big deal.
I have no idea.
Mr. Benningfield, you have no idea?
Right.
I have an idea. Let me see the estimates on the car and let me see the medical bills.
These are the hospital bills. And this is the estimate for my car.
Don't you have insurance on this car, Miss Bowman?
If she hit someone, we only have,
Liability.
because I'm a single parent, I can't afford the.
That's a lot of kicking damage on that car, sir. Need really heavy boots to do a kicking job on a car like that. Ms. Bowman, what caused you to break up with the defendant?
Because he was controlling and he was mean, and every time I went out with his sister, I get yelled at when I came back.
How old are you?
16.
How old are you?
19.
Did he ever use any drugs in front of you?
Well, okay.
Answer the question. The answer is yes or no.
Yes.
What kind?
Xanaxes. Can I tell you something? He was taking Xanaxes the day that this
What is
happened.
Xanax?
Xanax is a...
Depressant drug.
Right. For...
People that get panic attacks.
Right.
How long have you been taking medication?
Like, just pretty much the time we was going out.
Is that by a doctor's prescription?
No, ma'am.
What?
Yeah.
You take that on your own?
Yeah.
Where do you get it from?
Just my friends, people I know.
These people that you know, I assume with medical licenses, know how much to prescribe for you?
They wasn't prescribed. She's making me look like the bad person. She took them herself. She's done everything that I did, she's done.
Mr. Benningfield, the problem is that you caused some damage.
I didn't do that.
Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, you did. There's no question in my mind that you did. And there's also no question in my mind but for the fact that you had taken this knife and were using this knife in a way suggesting that you were going to harm yourself, she wouldn't have gotten stabbed. Now, whether that was a result of taking, try to pay attention. You're 19 years old. Trust me, you don't know everything. You think you know everything. Maybe you think he knows everything. You think you know everything? But for the fact that you probably are operating only on partial cylinders because of this medication that you're taking, sir, you reacted to her breaking up with you in a way that was off balance. Now, am I saying to you that she did the right thing by going out with your sister and still having a relationship with you? The answer is no. I think she acted like an immature 16-year-old. And your chronological age is 18, right?
Right.
Translated, probably about 9. And that's what 9-year-olds do when they don't get what they want. They hit, they scratch, they mark up somebody's walls, they do a whole bunch of things.
She had the police involved. She went and she was going to press charges against me. And I had to go up to Sellersburg Police Department to give them a statement. They said they couldn't do nothing. She supposedly gave them all kind of witnesses that I supposedly admitted it to them. But them same witnesses, when the cop asked them, did he tell you this? They was like, no.
I don't care what they said, sir. I'm telling you, you trashed her car. You want to know how I know you trashed her car? Because I can see it. I can see what happened when she left and how angry you were. How angry you were even the next day because you said that's why you grabbed the knife, because you were so angry, because you really liked her. And here she was telling you, I'm breaking up with you and I'm going to hang out at bars, friends, whatever, with your sister. And I'm leaving, bye, and she leaves you there all by yourself with your medication and your friend. Grow up. Listen, you both got to grow up. I give you some latitude because you're only 16. You're 19 and no genius, but you're going to pay for the damage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, which well exceeds damage to the car and your medical bills, $5,000. That's all.
Funds are excused. You may step out.
I think it was a great decision.
It's crap that she can see these things.
2 girls told me he kicked my car and that he had a new girlfriend, but I wasn't worried about the new girlfriend. It was just a coincidence.
We was trying to work everything out when all this was going on, and then I just got tired of waiting, and I started with this other girl that I know.
Finally now, she knows. We all know the truth.
And then she found that out, and then she started suing me just to try getting money, because she's for money.
Don't date psychos.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lyons versus Mason. Step forward, please.
30-year-old child care provider Tara Lyons is suing her ex-boyfriend, 28-year-old lab technician James Mason, for unpaid rent and a car loan.
Ms. Lyons, according to your complaint, you met the defendant on the internet.
Yes.
A tool that I don't use very well. And then you met.
Yes.
When did you meet?
We met about August of 2000.
And then there came a time when you decided to live together and he moved in with you.
Yes. And it was kind of like iffy and off and on for about 2-3 weeks. And then he permanently stayed there and he moved all his stuff in.
When?
All about September of 2000. And then in October, he moved his stuff out of our room into a spare bedroom that I have.
And he was staying there as a tenant?
Yes, he was staying there as a tenant.
That must have been uncomfortable.
Not really. We still had conjugal visits.
That's more information than I needed. Okay.
The arrangement was that when he moved out of our bedroom into the spare bedroom, I said, well, if we're going to live like roommates, then you need to pay rent. And so we agreed on $200, and he was going to start paying in November 1st.
Okay. When did he make his first month's rent payment?
He never did.
When did he move out?
He moved his body out on the 2nd. He moved the remainder.
2nd of what?
The 2nd of January. He removed the remainder of his stuff between the 18th and the 22nd
so
of
by
January.
January, he's gone. November, he's supposed to pay rent. You say he never paid rent, so he's got November and December rent.
And 2 days in January.
Forget 2 days in January. Stop being silly. What else do you claim he owes you?
He owes me little odds and ends, like he needed $40 here. And
I don't want to hear $40 here and $40 there.
Okay, well, I kept track of it.
Did he sign a note for the money?
No, I wrote it in front of him, and he agreed to it.
You remember that?
No.
That she wrote a note in front of you and you agreed to it?
Right before I moved out.
Just to answer my question.
All right.
You don't remember her writing down little pieces of paper?
I remember her handing me a note.
And the note said that you owed her how much?
Like $600.
You have the note that you gave him?
I have the receipt from the first payment after he had left. On January 20th, he paid me $100 to be deducted from the $610.43 that he owed. So he owed me $510.43.
That sound right? Look at me.
I don't know.
Look, January 20th, 2001.
Yeah.
You gave her $100.
Uh-huh.
That leaves a balance of $510.43. After January 20th, 2001, did you give her any more money?
Yes.
Show me.
Right here.
Good. Okay. Did he give you any money on February 18th?
Yes, he gave me another $100.
Right. How come you didn't tell me that?
No, I just said I had a receipt for the first $100.
Okay.
He gave me
And
another
did
$100.
And he gave you another $100 on April 15th?
No, he did not.
Show me that you gave her another $100 on April 15th.
That's all I have. And she would call me and say, you know, it's almost payday. And she'd say, are you going to have some money for me? And I'd say, yeah, Tara, I'll have some money for you. And I'd come over and I'd drop off the money and give it to her.
No, he didn't. We would have emailed each other back and forth, which means I would have had records of it through email. Most of my stuff, my information is through the emails. That's how I know exactly how much he owes me. My last email from him was on May 9th. I wrote him, it says, I haven't heard from you. I'm still waiting for you to pay me on May 11th. On May 10th, he wrote me, no, I will not be stopping by. I cannot afford to pay you this month, maybe next month. May 16th, I wrote him back. I will write you in June. On June 1st, I wrote him, okay, what day of this month is good for you? This was at 9:29 p.m. On June 1st at 9:49 p.m., he wrote me back, none. Then on June 2nd, I had wrote him back, why is it taking you so long to pay me back? You owe me less than $420. On the 4th at 7:06, he wrote me, I will not be paying you. I cannot afford anymore. Sorry.
Well, he owes you right now
$410.43.
Right.
I don't know where that money.
You have those communications with her?
Yeah, I sent her the emails, but I mean...
Mr. Mason, according to this piece of paper that you gave me, you owe her $310.
Yeah.
All right? Let's assume that I take your figure as accurate, which I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to do. Why didn't you pay her the $310?
Because I don't owe it to her.
Just a minute. You just handed me this piece of paper, sir.
Yeah.
According to this piece of paper, your evidence, you still owe her $310. Why didn't you give her the $310 that, according to your piece of paper, you still owe her?
I don't say that I owe her that other $300.
I do. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $410. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reckenmacher versus Smith. Step forward, please.
40-year-old professional clown Paul Reckenmacher says he was requested to perform as Captain Knucklehead by 47-year-old event planner Sherry Smith. Paul says at the last second, she hired some other clown.
How should I phrase this? Mr. Reckenmacher, you are a clown by profession. And Ms. Smith, you're a party planner.
Yes, I am.
It is your claim, Mr. Reckenmacher, that the defendant breached a contract with you for services that you were to perform for her. You want to be compensated to the tune of $5,000 for that breach of contract. May I see the contract? Are these the original contracts, sir?
Yes, they are.
They're not signed.
That's true.
Thank you.
Then if they're not signed, that's not a contract.
Thank you.
But we have an agreement.
Just a second.
Let's go.
All this is statements from you, and this says date of event, the first one, June 10th of '01, that the client was Lexus.
Yeah.
Supposed to take place at Clark Park. Captain Knucklehead, I assume that's you.
That's me.
We'll perform 5 hours, including a half-hour field games and warm-up, etc. Price is $1,200. Unsigned. Then I have one. Captain Knucklehead will perform 5 hours, again including the same thing, fee $1,200. I have one for June 23rd, 2001, and again on August 12th, and this is what you're suing for.
Yes.
Did you, in fact, perform for the defendant on June 10th?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you, in fact, perform for the defendant on June 23rd?
No, I did not.
Did you, in fact, perform for the defendant on July 27th?
No, I did not.
So, explain to me the lawsuit.
Okay, we've had a relationship for a long time, and it's basically this. We had an agreement months before that was hammered out by one of my witnesses, that was the sales manager at the time, Melody Calvert, and the agreement was as such that I would have exclusive booking rights in exchange for a lower price and the ability to substitute other entertainers if I couldn't do that. And that's what happened is she asked me a week before, and she knew very well, we all agreed on this, and she said, are you going to be performing at this event? And I said, no, I'm going to be substituting, as we agreed in our meeting earlier on. And she knew about this many, many months before in my profession.
Just a second. Just 1 second, sir. Let me go back. Am I to understand that your lawsuit now is that you did not perform at these functions, but that you hired someone else to perform at these functions, and therefore you fulfilled your obligation under this unsigned agreement?
That would have been the situation under the first two. But she said since I wasn't doing the first two, that she wouldn't do any of the other contracts or have me do them.
Stop right there. I'm going to make this very simple. On the 10th of June, 2001, it says Captain Knucklehead will perform 5 hours. You are Captain Knucklehead. You did not perform for 5 hours. Who did you send?
I would have sent another...
No, not would have sent.
I didn't send anyone.
So nobody went June 10th?
No.
Services not provided? June 23rd, you did not perform. Did you send someone else?
I did not.
July 27th, you did not perform. Did you send someone else?
No, I did not. And let me save you some time. I didn't do the last one either.
Then you don't have a cause of action, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you do not have a formal written contract signed by both parties with an understanding, then what you are suing for is what we call, in legal terms, you want to be paid under a theory of quantum meruit, which is that you get paid because you performed a service, she accepted the service, and you have the right to be paid pursuant to that service. So, if you performed and she didn't pay you, you get paid. If, for instance, on June 10th, you sent someone else that she accepted who performed in your place, then you get paid. If you do not have a written contract and you didn't perform any service, you get
So verbal contracts mean nothing.
You get nothing, zero, zip,
Even if
nada, zilch, you get nothing. If you showed up, or if somebody showed up, you would have gotten paid. You didn't show up, you didn't send anybody, you don't get paid. Goodbye and good luck. It's been nice seeing you. Have a good life.
I didn't get to say anything.
Parties are excused. This way, Captain Knucklehead.
36-year-old cleaning supervisor Deborah Montero is suing 47-year-old security guard Isaac Hill. Deborah says during a scuffle between her witness and Mr. Hill, she was injured.
Ms. Montero, it's your claim that Mr. Hill is responsible for some injuries that you sustained when he was in some sort of an altercation with someone that you were with.
Yes, my witness.
And he either pushed or shoved that person. That person went into you, causing you to fall, and that's when you sustained the injuries.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. When did this happen and where?
It was November 24th, the day after Thanksgiving, downtown New Haven in Connecticut. I'm part of the clean team. We take care of cleaning the sidewalks and the curbs.
Okay.
I was cleaning the curbs, standing in the street, and Mr. Sullivan had come up and we were talking.
That's Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, that is. We were talking. He was facing me, so his back was to the mall. Then all of a sudden I heard somebody screaming, that's it, I'm tired of this. And like 2 seconds later, Mr. Hill shoved Mr. Sullivan into me. Mr. Sullivan's elbowed me in the mouth and the chin. I pretty much broke Mr. Sullivan's fall with my face.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah Montero says she was injured when Isaac Hill pushed her friend, Sam Sullivan. Isaac says Sam threatened to blow up his car.
How were you injured?
When Mr. Sullivan fell back, he elbowed my chin, jilting my neck and twisting my back.
Did you see a doctor?
At the time, no, I did not. But I started to feel neck and back pain from being snapped back. Eventually, it started to get really bad, so I did need to go see a chiropractor.
And you did. About how long after the November 24th incident did you go to see a chiropractor?
About 1 week later.
Did you ever see a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
When did you see a lawyer?
This was on a Friday, the following Monday.
You went to see an attorney?
Yes.
The chiropractor that you went to see, was the chiropractor referred to you by the lawyer?
Yes, yes.
Did you go to work the following week?
The next day was Saturday. I was supposed to work. I did miss work on Saturday because I went to get out of bed and I was really stiff.
What about the following week? Did you go to work the following week?
Yes. At the time I was a supervisor. I was enabled to perform my duties to the fullest, so I had to have some of my guys like take the trash bags out, help me out.
You went to work the entire next week?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Hill, I've read your answer. Tell me what position you hold in this mall, because I assume you were employed by the mall?
I'm the supervisor of security at that mall.
And I assume that you, from your answer, know Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, I've had dealings with Mr. Sullivan.
And I assume that you did not want Mr. Sullivan anywhere around the mall.
I didn't know. That's not true. He was welcome at the mall.
But something happened that day, sir, and you initiated it. You went up to him, correct?
I went up, no. He proceeded in my direction first.
So you tell me your version of what happened. They're standing outside the mall.
I pulled my car up to go into the mall to cash my check that morning. I was off duty, okay? As I approached the mall, he walked in my direction, and because of prior incidents which we have had.
So there have been prior incidents of physical encounters?
Not physical. In his usual manner of threatening. He said, "Oh, that's your car." He had never seen me in my car before, I presume. And I looked at him, and I didn't respond, and he said, "Okay, I know what I'm going to do with that car." Boom! And I just took that as a saying, he's going to blow my car up. He proceeded to back up. I guess he looked at my eyes. He saw I'm not the one to be playing with. So I did shove him. I said, "Do it now, Sam. Why don't you do it now?" Okay? As a result, he started, in his cowardly fashion again, backpedaling. Okay? He just backpedaling away from me. And he goes in his pocket. And I see him go in his pocket, and I go, there was a dustpan on the pole. And I picked up the dustpan, because I know, I didn't know what it was in his hand. I couldn't make it out. Then when I seen it was a cell phone, I put the dustpan back down. And I went back into the mall, got my check, came out, and the police were there.
Did they have a discussion with you with regard to the plaintiff's injuries?
When the police arrived, I immediately, he asked me, "Did you hit this guy? Did you shove this guy?" I said, "Yes." Then I went to start to proceed to explain why I hit him. He said, "I don't hear nothing." And he made me go into the mall. He wasn't interested in what I had to say about prior incidents.
Mr. Hill.
I'd like to make one more statement.
Okay.
When I came outside the mall, okay, and she did, now, she did get hit. But the point is,
Mr. Hill.
Okay, I'm sorry. But it wasn't as a result of me pushing her.
Mr. Hill, I'm in charge.
Into her.
Mr.
Okay,
Hill,
I'm sorry.
I'm in charge. Now, you just said something very important. You said she got hit.
Yeah, you'll see as the testimony of my witness will describe, which I didn't know.
Okay, you didn't see her get hit?
No.
Tell me your name.
Andrew Peter.
Tell me what you saw with regard to the plaintiff getting hit.
Well, it was like 2 minutes after Mr. Hill pushed Sullivan over there. When he reached for his cell phone, he stepped off the curb. She was still sweeping, coming up, and talking at the same time.
You mean when Mr. Sullivan reached for his cell phone?
Yeah. He stepped off the curb, pulled his cell phone out. That's when she got hit in her face by his hand.
This happened at about the same time as Mr. Hill, according to his testimony, was picking up the dustpan, right?
The dustpan was on the corner.
No.
Right at the corner.
He said, pay careful attention to me, Mr. Hill said he went for the dustpan because Mr. Sullivan reached into his pocket for something.
That's a cell phone.
Right? So when I said to you, the cell phone and the dustpan were about the same moment, that would be correct. Is that right?
Well, like 3 seconds apart.
Seconds apart.
Yeah.
And the cell phone you assume, or one might assume under the circumstances, was being used to call 911 because Mr. Hill had just shoved him. That be a fair statement?
Fair enough, yeah.
Just answer this question, Mr. Sullivan. Were you getting your cell phone in order to call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's what I assumed. And according to you, that's when Miss Hill was hit by Mr. Sullivan's elbow when he reached for the cell phone.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's follow this logically. Mr. Hill was the first one that put his hands on another person by shoving Mr. Sullivan. As a result of you putting your hands on him, Mr. Sullivan reaches in his pocket to call the police. And as a result of that reaching in his pocket to call the police,
Your Honor, please.
Miss Montero gets hit. You acknowledge that she got hit. He acknowledges she got hit, right?
It wasn't by him pushing Sullivan into her.
It doesn't have to be. He caused the chain of events to occur.
He caused the chain of events when he stepped in my direction.
No.
Yes.
Mr. Hill, pay careful attention to me, Mr. Hill. How old are you, sir?
I'm 47 years old. I don't like people running up on me.
I'm not going to be able to make an appreciable change in the way you do business in a relatively short period of time. But you're in charge of security.
I was off duty at the time.
Whether you're off duty or whether you're on duty, a person who's in charge of security at a mall is supposed to be level, right? If someone makes a threat, whether you're on duty or off duty, the mall may say he's off duty because that's
This guy's mother makes, I'm not going to say mother, his companion makes death threats at me.
Listen to me. Then what you do, Mr. Hill, if you're in charge of security, you're not just a private citizen. You are in charge of security like a peace officer. That's what it means, peace officer. So if someone is threatening you, and it may be someone who's not operating with a full, full semblance of chromosomes, all right? And that's a possibility, because if somebody makes threats to bomb your car, they're not operating with a full deck. Then what you do is you go inside to the mall, and you call the police, and you say, this man has just threatened me. He's threatened to blow up my car. I want the police to respond. Your response, however, was to push him.
Well, I was traumatized over the fact that in recent altercation, he tried to crawl over a police officer to get at me, and they did nothing. I mean, I felt like the matter had been put in my hands, madam, and no one was doing nothing for me.
Clearly, then that day, you were pushed to the limit, so you acted inappropriately by putting your hands on him as a peace officer. I mean, if the police aren't responding appropriately, then it's your job to do the right thing, not to say, well, I'm going to compound it by doing the wrong thing by putting your hands on somebody. Miss Montero, you have photographs of your injuries?
No, I don't.
I don't need anything else. Listen to me. I'm a really smart lady.
Okay.
And I know what happens when somebody has second thoughts and says, well, because of him, I got hit. And you have a lawyer. The lawyer said, you must be really injured. I'm going to send you to my doctor. Then the lawyer goes to try to settle with the mall, and the mall said, listen, he wasn't even working that day. And then your lawyer cuts you loose, right? Lawyer cut you loose. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in small claims court, Miss Montero.
That is not correct. It's not against the mall. It's for Mr. Hill personally.
Well,
okay.
What I'm telling you is, you got hit in the jaw. The question is, what is that worth?
Okay. My neck and my back snapped back. I had a lot of back pain, a lot of neck pain. Okay.
All right. So you went to the chiropractor who made you feel better?
Somewhat.
Good.
Somewhat.
How much were the chiropractor's bills?
$876.
Okay.
And I
just want to take a look at the chiropractor's bills, please.
Okay, and I have the police report.
Because there really is not much of a dispute. I've already found that as a result of Mr. Hill's actions, you got hit. And Mr. Hill wasn't acting as a peaceful officer. He let the history with Mr. Sullivan get in the way. Okay. Mr. Hill, you are responsible for the chiropractic bills, which ultimately the plaintiff will have to pay. There's $876 worth of chiropractic bills. And in addition, I am awarding her the sum of $2,000 because but for your actions, she would not have been hit in the face. And she was, in fact, hit in the face. And she was hit in the face because you did the wrong thing. And you got to pay for that. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,876. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 25 on the calendar in the matter of Ramirez versus Garza.
Thanks, Bert.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Ramirez, is it Ramirez?
Yes.
I'd like you to sit down, sir.
Thank you.
You and the defendant have 2 children together.
Yes.
Were you ever married?
No.
But you are now married to this gentleman.
Yes.
Your claim is that because of false charges that Mr. Garza filed against you, you were forced to incur substantial legal fees and debts. False charges with regard to child abuse. He filed those complaints with Child Protective Services. And you want him to reimburse you for all of the expenses that you incurred as a result of these false charges. Is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Garza says that he merely reported what he saw and what his children told him. Right now I'm going to need a time frame. When did you and Mr. Garza separate?
I believe it was in 99.
And how old are your two children?
6 and 4.
So they were really tiny. They were a year
Yes.
old and 3 years old.
About 3 years old.
When did you remarry?
December 16th of 2000.
And when was the first report of child abuse?
Back in 2000.
When in 2000?
In August of 2000.
All right, so let me go to Mr. Garza. Mr. Garza, when did you first make a complaint to Child Protective Services?
It was back in August 2000.
And what was the nature of that complaint?
Well, pretty much child abuse. My kids were talking about how their stepdad would, slap them or hit them or, in that nature. I have papers here from the Child Protective Services who state
From August?
From May of 2001.
Well, let me take a look at it, please.
I also have police reports here and medical reports.
I see various letters. In some of the letters it says that they determined back in May of 2001 that the family, that is your family, does require our service at this time. I don't know whether they spoke to the children or not. So what you're telling me is in August, one of your children, probably the older one, was telling me that they were hit, but hit by the stepfather. And you reported that.
Yes.
What was the next report?
Well, after that, my youngest son, Isaiah, he came over and he went to the bathroom, and when he was urinating, he has a habit of he'll drop his pants down to his knees, and I noticed some bruises on his buttocks. And he had said that some ants had bit him. He was afraid to say it, so he had said that some ants had bit him. Finally, he came out and said that, that stepdad had, hit him with the black sandal, There was some bruises on there.
And did you make a report at that time?
Yes,
I have a report.
Medical reports from that, from the physician that saw him.
Can I see the report, please?
Yes.
Now you can stand up, Mr. Ramirez. Well, this second report was called in by the hospital, according to the doctor's notes, because the doctor found bruising noted to both buttocks on the child. Okay. Mr. Ramirez, did you back sometime in 2001 hit one of the children, the older child, on the behind?
Isaiah, the smallest children, he was going through a lot of problems at daycare concerning when he would come back from his father's house. We tried disciplining him with timeouts, taking toys away from him, name it. It got to the point where we couldn't take it anymore. They didn't want him at the daycare. Took him home. I spoke to him. I spanked him. Next thing you know, I'm getting arrested because his father put charges on me. I got a paper here stating that...
No, I'm not finished yet. You spoke to him, and how old was he at the time?
He was 3.
3. So he was 3 years old.
The daycare was getting ready to kick him out because they didn't want him there anymore.
He was 3. I'm speaking. He was 3 years old. So you spanked him.
Yeah.
With what?
With a belt, ma'am.
With a belt?
Yes, ma'am.
On his buttocks?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have to attend any classes, Mr. Ramirez, as a result of this investigation?
No, we had a homemaker come and give us parenting classes.
Well, that's parenting classes. So you had to have services as a result.
Yes, ma'am, but from an hour and a half classes, it dropped down to 20 hours because the homemaker found it wasn't necessary, that we didn't need those classes.
Well, you do need the classes. If you think that it's appropriate to beat a 3-year-old with a belt, causing bruises sufficient to be noted by a hospital, then you need a lot of parenting classes, more than an hour and a half. 3-year-old child who was going through a state of mother, father, new father, visiting one, there's a certain amount of acting out behavior. What you don't do is you don't use an instrument ever on a child. Ever. You used a belt on a 3-year-old. That is unacceptable. Period. End of discussion. It's unacceptable.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen to me very carefully. Your husband just admitted he beat your 3-year-old with a belt. He abused him.
Spanked, not abused.
Beat. Abused. You should have taken the belt and wrapped it around his neck.
And later today...
Miss Jones, you were trying to get over on the system, madam.
No,
That's
I wasn't trying to get over on the system, Judge Judy, because when I called there, they told me, don't bring the ticket yourself or we're going to take the money.
I wish you had the name of that person who told you that. I think that you probably ought to sue them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Ramirez says the father of her children, Eloy Garza, falsely accused her of child abuse. Eloy says Veronica's husband, Juan, hit his son.
Miss Ramirez, I don't have to go through this whole case anymore. I've just solved this whole case. You are suing for filing false charges against you. False charges of
Actually, the
abuse?
false charges and the custody hearing that we actually went through for the past 2 years.
Well, why do you think you would be entitled to legal fees from him for a custody hearing?
He sued me for custody of the children because of that incident.
Yes.
We went through about 2 years of a custody battle. It got to the point to where he decided he didn't want custody of the children anymore.
So?
He wanted me to agree not to move out of the city we were living in, and he wouldn't fight for custody. He wanted a social study done. We had the social study done. The lady came to the house. She did interviews on both of us. She did interviews on the children. In the social study that I have with me, she states that he seems lovable with the children. The children are lovable with him. She didn't see any problems with the family together. She felt that the children should stay living with me.
So?
We went to court. He had moved to Corpus because he was living in Corpus already working. He was away from us about 3 months. He put temporary orders on us not to leave the county. The judge spoke to the children to see whether they felt safe enough to move out of town with me to Corpus with him, or if they wanted to stay in Harlingen with their biological father. The children stated to the judge that they wanted to leave to Corpus with us.
Let me explain something to you. I don't know who this judge was who interviews a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old to make a determination as to where they want to live. I never did that with a 4-year-old. Where would you like to live, with your mommy or with your daddy?
We also have him right here. He states that he has evidence that there was abuse.
There was abuse.
When?
Period. There was abuse. I'm finding right here that there was abuse. And you have no case to sue him for filing false allegations of abuse. Your husband abused your 3-year-old. You should have taken the belt and wrapped it around his neck. That's what you should have done. And I don't know what other issues the defendant has with you. However, any father who would not at that point fight for custody would be neglectful. So he had an absolute obligation to file for custody of his 2 children. And then the thing dragged along for 2 years because this judge had to wait until the kids were 4 and 6 in order to interview them.
No, it didn't drag on that long. It dragged on that long because he kept putting it off.
Maybe. But I don't care what the social worker said. I want to tell you something. I don't care what the social worker said. It is irrelevant to me. The mother's husband beat the children, but the children seem happy and safe with the mother. Father never beat the children, so we think that the children should stay. We think the children should stay with the mother. I mean, I don't understand a report like that. In any event, I'm not having to decide that case now. All I have to decide is whether or not he should be responsible for the cost of all of your legal fees as a result of fighting both his custody case and the case that he filed and the orders that he requested, preventing you from moving out of the jurisdiction, relocating.
I also have a letter here from the police department where they took the children to the police department, and the police even put in here where they were trying to bribe the children to tell the police that they were being slapped.
Listen to me very carefully. Your husband just admitted he beat your 3-year-old with a belt. What do I care about the police report? Your husband looked at me. I asked him a question. He answered my question. He beat your 3-year-old with a belt. He abused him.
I spanked him, not abused him.
Beat. Abused. 3-year-old, belt, abuse. That's it. Marks from a belt on a 3-year-old is abuse. That's not neglectful. That's not neglectful. Neglectful is if you don't give them a hot lunch. Neglectful is not when you beat a 3-year-old with an instrument. So you are not entitled to the return of any of your legal fees matter.
In the Penal Code, Section 961 states that the state declines prosecution in this case. The defendant is allowed to use forceful to reasonably discipline a child under Section 9.61 of the Penal Code, and there is insufficient evidence to show any other intent by the defendant. That's
I hope you feel better. If you appeared before me and you said to me, I lost my temper once, and I hit him with a belt.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Wait, that's not what you're saying.
No, you asked me.
No. I lost my temper once, and I hit him with a belt, and it will never happen again because that's not me. I know that's not the way you're supposed to discipline children. But what you just read to me, sir, was an indication that you believe that this is an appropriate way of disciplining children.
No, it's not, ma'am.
It better not be.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Let me tell you something. You're not going to get the money from him. Why? He signed me a promissory note stating...
I don't care if he signed you the Declaration of Independence. Courts do not help you when you try to scam the system.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Ramirez says the father of her children, Eloy Garza, falsely accused her of child abuse. Eloy says Veronica's husband, Juan, hit his son.
Ms. Ramirez, you have no case. The defendant did exactly what he should have done as a father by reporting what he saw. He did exactly what he should have done as a father by fighting for custody. He did exactly what he should have done by trying to prevent you from leaving the jurisdiction and relocating. And if he lost on all those counts, that's very unfortunate. But he had not only the right, but the obligation to do it. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think it went right.
Worked out good, I guess.
His false police reports, taking the children to the police department, filing false reports. I have all of that documented, all the false reports that he made.
Nothing else better to do, I guess.
I even have the reports where the police say that they were trying to bribe the children by telling them they would give them things if they said this.
As soon as I saw, bruises going on, I knew I had to get in and do something.
My children see him as their father.
They're little, 3 and 5,
So that shows what type of biological father their father really is.
He's never around.
No, I've been involved with their lives all the time.
I might have used excessive force, which I regret doing it.
Let the real parents do the discipline, not the step parents.
Be careful who you get involved with.
Go back to my country club and need a po' boy sandwich.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martin versus Moss. Step forward, please.
Nanny Gail Martin is suing her former employer, day spa owner Kimberly Moss, for non-payment of services rendered. Kimberly says Gail abused her 10-year-old daughter, Lauren.
Miss Martin, you answered an ad in the paper for child care and light housework that the defendant had placed in the paper. It is your claim that you worked there and you were not fully paid before she let you go.
That's correct.
Okay. The defendant says you were, in fact, fully paid. Are these the 2 children she was supposed to take care of?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you answer the ad and when did you start working?
I answered the ad the first day I noticed it was in there, and there were 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. And I started to work on, the first week was October the 10th, and the second week was October the 15th.
Okay, what was the pay arrangement?
She told me, I told her what I got at my last job, and she said I paid $10 an hour. And after the first week, which was the Friday, but I had to come back Saturday, she only paid me the $300 from the first 3 days.
Well, whatever it was,
it wasn't
that's
enough because I had worked that first week.
The first week, how many days did you work?
4 days.
Is that correct?
I really don't remember.
Well, if you don't remember, then I have to rely on her. And the second week you worked, how many days did you work?
I worked Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 3
And
days.
how much were you paid during that 2-week
None.
period? Yes, you were.
The whole time I worked there, she paid me $300.
Okay. How much did you pay her?
When she first came to my employment, we agreed that she would get $100 a day. And
Really, not $10 an hour?
No.
$100 a day, irrespective of how many hours she worked?
Right.
First week she worked 4 days, and you gave her how much?
Whatever it was, she
said you only gave her $300.
Well, that's not accurate. Whatever I owed her is what I paid her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nanny Gail Martin says former employer Kimberly Moss owes for babysitting fees. Kimberly says Gail threw her 10-year-old daughter in the shower with her clothes on.
So, what happened the second week?
The second week, she was paid up. On the last day, her car broke down. She asked if she could stay with us overnight for a couple days because she didn't have transportation to and from work. And I said that would be fine until she got her car fixed. The first morning of the night that she stayed over, there was a problem. And what happened was I was in bed. My daughter Chelsea came running to me to wake me up, telling me that Gail had put Lauren, my baby, into the hot shower with her nightgown on. So I got up and ran into her bedroom, and there she was crying, cuddled up in the corner in the hot shower. So I got in the shower with her in my nightgown and adjusted
blocked the hot water from her and adjusted the temperature, and to try to reduce the trauma of what had already occurred, took a shower with her, got her out, we all got ready for school, took her to school. That is why my secretary drove her home, because if I was to confront her about it, it would have turned out ugly. So I had my secretary relieve her from.
Did you
that
put
was
the
the
child
last
in the
day.
shower?
No, ma'am. I would never do that to a child under any circumstances. Never. And if this did happen, how come she didn't call HRS? That's what I'd like to know. This, when she told me she
Which
didn't have
child
the
was in
money.
the shower?
The baby, Lauren, was.
Lauren? Come up here. Tell me about the shower.
I was in bed and I didn't want to get up because I didn't feel good. And then she picked me.
You mean get up to go to school?
Yeah. And she picked me up out of the bed and put me in the shower, and she turned the hot water on with my nightgown on.
No question in your mind about that?
Mm-mm.
Where was your sister?
She was in bed with me.
Had that ever happened before?
No.
Okay, go sit down. All right. Miss Moss, the plaintiff worked for you for 3 days, the second week.
Correct.
Did you pay her?
I do not remember the exact amount of time that she was under our employment. To
Fine. Then I have to rely on her records for those days.
That's fine.
That she was. Now, at that point, did you fire her?
That day, absolutely.
That day, she was let go.
Absolutely.
Okay. You say not. Is that right?
No, she explained to me she was going to go to Daytona Beach with her boyfriend, and that her business that she just opened, her Kimberly's Day Spa, they do facials,
Whatever.
and massages.
You were
and
told that your services were no longer
yes,
necessary.
because her business hadn't taken off like she expected it to, and that she couldn't afford it. This child that's wearing that nice little Sunday school outfit, that's not what they wore when I worked there. They dressed shamelessly.
What do you mean shamelessly?
They dressed in little Daisy Dukes with half their butt poking out the bottom, and little things with their belly buttons showing, and trying to go to school like that. They were, and makeup, and they were hellions.
And what about
they were 9 and 11 going on 17.
Go ahead.
I came back on the Monday to collect some money that she owed me from that previous week. Her oldest son was changing the locks on her house door. And I said, well, what happened? He says, don't expect to find any money here. We had a break-in. Our safe was broken into, but I didn't see any black powder anywhere. So he said, we don't have any money to pay you. So why would she have to do that if she paid me the week before?
Okay.
Now,
okay.
Ergo.
Okay. You work there according to your records, and since she doesn't have any records of her own, which she should have, a total of 7 days. I am crediting her testimony that your agreement was $100 a day, and that she paid you, according to your records, which I am crediting, $300, which means she owes you $400, and I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jones versus Jones. Step forward, please.
21-year-old homemaker Jennifer Jones is suing her mother, business owner Helen Jones, for the return of personal property, harassment, and for the cost of new car tires. Helen is countersuing for the cost of a refrigerator and damages to her mobile home.
I read your complaints very carefully. Miss Jones, the defendant is your mother.
Right.
And according to what I gather from your complaint, your parents are in the process of getting a divorce.
Right.
How many years have you been married?
24.
During the course of the divorce, according to you, you sort of sided with your father.
Right.
You were living in a house, and who owned the house?
Her and my father.
You were living there with child?
Right.
And a boyfriend?
Right.
According to your complaint, you left the house, and without your permission, your mother came in and took some property that you say belongs to you.
Right.
Your mother says you abandoned the house. She went in, she took property that was there, some of which she had given to your child, and she is counterclaiming. She says that you left the house in deplorable condition. She has to buy a new refrigerator and other damages. You also claim that your mother slashed your tires and is engaged in a course of harassing behavior.
Yes.
When did you move into her house?
It was March of 2001.
And who was living there at the time?
Me and my son when we first moved there.
And how long did you and your son live there alone?
About 2.5 months.
And then who moved in?
My ex-boyfriend.
And how long did you, your son, and your ex-boyfriend live there?
Until March of 2002.
What happened in March of 2002?
I left and had moved to Carthage with a current boyfriend.
Okay, so you left the old boyfriend.
Right.
Now, when you left the old boyfriend, was he living in the house at the time?
No, he moved out before I moved.
When did he move out?
About 2 months prior to that.
What date in March of 2002 did you leave the house?
It was approximately the second week of March.
Now, when do you allege that your mother came in and took property?
I noticed the property gone April 8th. I went in, there had been a computer missing.
So 3 weeks after you moved out?
Right. I didn't even actually move out. All of my things were still there. I had just been staying with a boyfriend because of all the harassment and everything I was getting there at the home.
Right. And what items do you claim that your mother came in and took that belongs to you?
She had called me the day before Easter and told me that she was going to get a swing set out of my backyard, and I okayed that. She then called me the day after Easter and told me she had went into the house, which she had no keys to, and took a children's four-wheeler and a wagon out of the building.
But she took those things. Is those the things you want back?
Well, and then when I got there, there were several other things missing also.
Like what?
There was a compact computer. There was a brand new Kenmore dishwasher.
Whose computer was it?
It was mine.
I have proof where it was Clinton Todd's.
Well, I have the statement that he signed and give to me that he give that to me.
What else?
A Kenmore dishwasher. There was a race car collection, a deep freezer, and all the rest of the
Well, we're
items
talking
that
about
went
months later, Miss Jones. If you moved out and you're living with a new boyfriend, is this a new boyfriend?
Yes.
Well, you can't just leave it there.
I left the things there. My father was staying there with me, and I left the things there for him to use until I got another place.
So there was somebody else living in the house?
Right. He was staying there on the weekends.
Somebody else who had access to the house?
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
Now, you acknowledge, Miss Jones, that you took the swing set, the bike, and the wagon.
Yes, that's all I took.
And that was, you say, because?
I paid for it. It was to stay there. She met this guy on internet. He is married and he has 4 kids. I didn't buy it for his kids. I bought it for my grandson. They were to stay there whenever if she ever moved out, and she wanted to take them, and I said no.
That's not true.
Well, you didn't give them to her. You gave them to your grandson.
Right.
It's the wrong thing to do, because I know, I have grandchildren, so I know you didn't say to your grandson when you gave him the red wagon or when you gave him the bike, you can have these as long as your mother is living here and doesn't move away to live with somebody else. You didn't say that to him.
No, the reason why I put that in because she has bounced from home to home, from boyfriend to boyfriend.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Jones claims her mother, Helen Jones, burglarized her home and slashed her tires. Helen says she entered the trailer because Jennifer abandoned it.
Now, your grandson's got to have his swing set back and his bike and his wagon because those things belong to him.
Well, the reason why that I had took them, we went to the mobile home, the back door was standing wide open. That's why I took the things, because I didn't want nobody to take the things.
Okay, so at this point, those things are going to have to go back to your grandson.
Okay.
But your mother says she doesn't have anything else, Miss Jones. What proof do you have that she took those things?
There was a statement filed with the police department there where they had retrieved some of the items that her son had went in and stolen from me, that he had stolen even some of her things that she had loaned me out of the house.
Just a second. What proof do you have that your mother took any of those things?
Nobody else had access to the house.
That's not true. Your father did.
The door standing wide open.
Just a second. Your father did.
Right.
He had a key to the home, right?
Right.
You said your mother didn't have a key.
Right.
May I add something?
Who are you?
I'm the boyfriend.
Well,
and a
step
witness.
up if you have something important to add, but just make sure it's important. What's your name?
My name's Mark. The thing with her father, there's an ex parte between her father and her mother at this time. And so he would stay at the home on the weekends as long as he could until the harassment got so bad. And the harassment was so bad and stuff that her dad found another place to stay when he was in at different times, kind of just staying with who he could. to try to make peace through this divorce that they're going through.
So far, I don't hear much from you, sir. Just a lot of
well, okay,
chatter.
but well, when we were there,
Yeah.
there was a phone call placed by her mother, and her mother were in a pretty good argument.
Just a second. Her mother called and said she wanted to go take the swing set.
Right.
So she
but-
called you and asked you if she could take the swing set, and you said
Only
okay.
the swing set, right.
Okay, but you said okay. So
Right.
she did not ask you if she could take the swing
Right.
set. She just made the phone call, got your permission. Listen, get to the facts. I have a very busy calendar.
Okay, and she has some pictures here that shows a lot of the damage to the yard and to the shed, and the damage to the back door was not there the week that we went there, but the only way she would have had to go into the house would
through the back door.
would be to tear up the back door.
Well, I don't know that.
And
She
that's
says she
what-
found the door off the hinges. Isn't
The
that
door
right?
was
That's
wide
what you.
open. It wasn't off of the hinges. It was left wide open.
And there's a police report that states the door was pried
Right, it
open
was
and
pried
pried
open.
hanging.
Maybe your ex-boyfriend came back. Maybe your ex-boyfriend wasn't happy that he left you the computer when he found out that you had taken off a couple of weeks later with somebody else. There are a lot of people who had the opportunity either to go into your house or to break into the house. It's not your house, the house. And all I'm asking you for is proof that it was your mother. Do you have any?
Other than that, she just told me she is the one that went in there and took some items.
She acknowledged she took 3 things. Is that right?
Right.
Did she ever acknowledge she took the computer?
No.
She ever acknowledged she took the dishwasher? No. She ever acknowledged she took the race car collection?
No.
How old are you?
21.
How old is your son?
He's almost 2.
Is the person that you were living with in the house that child's father?
No.
This man certainly isn't the child's father.
No.
Is that right?
Right.
Listen, you have a child. That child is entitled to have a certain amount of stability. Is entitled not to go from one boyfriend to another, to another, to another until you find yourself maybe when you're 40 years old. So you got a lot more to worry about than a dishwasher and a race car collection. You got to worry about a 2-year-old that you're supposed to be bringing up properly and setting an example for. It doesn't seem to me as if you're doing that. Okay. What proof do you have that your mother slashed your tires?
I had come down and stayed a couple days with my father at a local hotel, and that day they had been driving by, flipping me off, cussing me.
Who was they?
Her and her sister, her son. This was right after they had
How
stolen.
old is her
his-
son?
He is 17.
My son.
Is that your brother?
Yes.
Well, then your brother. Not her son. It's your brother.
And her also. They was
Just
all
a second.
together.
It's not her son. It's your brother. So your mother and your brother and your aunt. What were they doing?
They would drive by, flip us off. They would scream things. Her and her boyfriend would circle the parking lot. The next morning I got up. The passenger rear tire of my car had been slashed.
So other than the fact that they were there the night before, you have no proof that your mother did that.
There would be nobody else that would do that. I mean,
It's very possible your mother did it. It's very possible your brother did it. It's very possible your aunt did it.
She
You
has
understand?
no friends or family, so.
I mean, do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's possible. But that's not what we deal with in court. We don't deal with possibilities. We deal with what is provable. Now, you want to tell me about this counterclaim you have for the refrigerator and the damage to the house?
I have proof here of everything that's been done to the home, and from Clinton Todd that he took the computer and the dishwasher.
but he give those to. We had bought some other things together that were paid off, and we sat down and made an agreement. And I have it where he had signed it, what he took, and he said that would be fine since he took the things that
Let me
were
see
paid
yours.
off.
Let me see yours. Did you tell him at that time that you had met somebody else?
I hadn't met him when I didn't even know him when we had separated.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. Ha, listen to me. That's not true. Who has the Pontiac Grand Prix car?
I do.
You working?
No.
How are you paying for a car?
I
listen to me. Don't give me an I. How are you paying for the car?
I was working for my father.
But you're not working now, and you didn't work last month. How did you make the last 2 payments on the car?
I made those payments.
Baloney. Baloney. All right, show me the refrigerator. I mean, that's the main thing that we're talking about. Open.
Right.
Right. Oh, she's a slob.
Yes.
She's a slob.
I have the pictures of what they done to the house when
I'm
they
just showing,
went in.
just a second. I'm not even looking at the damage to the house because I can't tell who did the damage to the house because the house, according to your mother, was open.
Right.
So we don't know who went into the house.
Right.
Right? Could have been your soon-to-be ex-husband. It could have been Mr. Todd who got angry when he went to retrieve his stuff. Just like I said to your daughter, you need proof. I don't need any proof for this. This is pretty disgusting. Whoever left the refrigerator in this condition, really just a pig. But we don't know whether your daughter was the pig or your husband is a pig. It could be that your father's a pig. It's either one of the two of you. Either you're the pig or your father's the pig. But since we can't prove that you're the pig, I can't award your mother any money on her counterclaim. So your mother is going to see to it that your son gets back his swing set, his bike, and his red wagon. The remainder of the complaints are dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 59 on the calendar in the matter of O'Neill versus Valley. You're quite welcome. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Miss O'Neill, you and the defendant were engaged to be married, and according to your complaint, the defendant used your credit cards. You had not given him permission to use the credit cards, and he racked up bills in excess of $5,000.
Correct.
The defendant says that he had the right to use your credit cards. You had given him permission.
Correct.
You have a counterclaim, sir, and it's a whole potpourri of stuff. You claim that you put a lot of money in a truck that she kept and some other stuff, which you will explain to me later. Miss O'Neill, when were you and the defendant living together?
He moved in late September.
And tell me about the credit cards.
The credit cards are in my name and my name only. The credit cards had a zero balance, and I took the defendant once to go shopping for his children for Christmas presents. I was aware of that, and I'm not disputing those charges. And we also had put a down payment on my ring on that same credit card. He said it was his responsibility, and so when the statement came, he would make the payment directly to the credit card company. He'd give the envelope to me sealed, and I would mail it from my place of business, and so on and so forth.
He took the bill sealed?
He took the bill. He sealed, and I'm assuming opened it to pay it, but I never.
But you never opened the bills?
I didn't see the bill because, again, it was his responsibility because it was presents for his children and, again, for the deposit on the ring. I didn't see the statement because I had nothing on there at that time. And, Your Honor, I really do feel like this matter was something that was brought forth premeditated. I think that he.
Okay, so let's get to the story, and then we'll discuss whether it was premeditated or not.
Okay. I had the credit cards put safely in my bedroom because I was not going to be.
Well, so far you had one credit card that he used. What about the? You said
right.
Now you had
There's
another
a second
credit card
that had gotten mailed to me that I did not use anything for. We took one trip to Tahoe that we did use, and again, I'm not disputing those charges. We charged about $150 that weekend. So what had happened was I placed the Visa in the headboard of the bed, and then when the MasterCard came, I also put it with that as well.
When did you discover that there were excessive balances on the credit card?
On March 27th, I received a notice that there was a certified letter at the post office waiting for Jason that was for a storage unit that I had had my bed in that had all of his other belongings in it. So I was a little suspicious because obviously it wasn't a Christmas card, it was probably an eviction, and that means that he was back a couple months. So I confronted him that evening, and I asked him, how are we doing on the bills in general, my ring, the storage, little things like that. He said, oh, honey, we're caught up, we're fine, and he also got offended that I would even ask him something like that. So he was at that point lying to my face. So that morning when he left for work on the 28th, I went through a side of his bed that there were drawers that he kept a number of receipts and tax return information. When I found the credit card statement, I noticed that I also found forged receipts that have my name forged in his handwriting, and also a lot of the receipts in his possession matched my credit card statements with an outrageous balance. So
what was the balance?
The balance on the credit card was almost $6,000. That was the Visa, and the MasterCard was about $1,500.
You have those statements?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please.
Did you want to see the forgeries too?
Yeah.
Okay. These are the receipts, and then these are some information along with my copies of my time card as to.
No, just give me the receipts, please, and the balance that you found on each of the cards. Am I correct that there was some cash withdrawals as well?
Correct. And I've never made a cash withdrawal, and I don't know how he got the PIN, but my name's Aaron, and he had commented once before that he had called for insurance purposes on the truck, that he used my name, Aaron, and he thought it was kind of humorous that he could get information using my name. And so I'm assuming he might have used that method to obtain a PIN number because I don't know my PIN. I've never used cash advance.
Did you ever get a PIN number yourself?
I never received one myself. I don't know if one was ever mailed or, because I don't use that. And Your Honor, on a lot of the forgeries too, he's misspelled my name, so.
Okay, your turn.
Okay. Your Honor, I have some proof here, some letters here showing that she did give me permission to use the credit cards.
Mr. Valley, let's start from the beginning, sir. I want you to start with where you got the credit cards from when you took them out and used them and signed her name.
Your Honor, I used the credit that she gave me, the credit cards to hold in my wallet. There was nothing in, no coverage or nothing like that. She gave them to me when we go out at night and stuff like that. She didn't want to carry a purse, so she gave me her driver's license and her credit cards. Sometimes she'd have a little too much to drink or something like that. We're checking out, okay, and it's like, you know, we're signing away, and she'll say, just sign the credit card. I didn't think this was a problem. I had no idea. I always had the credit cards in my possession because when I first met her, she used to keep her credit cards in the freezer in a bowl of water, okay, because she had using the credit cards too much. She racked up bills and stuff like that.
Yes.
When I first moved in, you know, she says, okay, you know, pay a minimum rent. You know, here's my credit cards. You pay off your credit cards, okay? And she says, well, you know, I have a better interest rate and that let's use my credit cards when we need them, as long as you pay me back. And I was making the payments. I
Just
was
a
paying
minute.
them back.
There we go. As long as you pay me back.
Yes.
Okay. You see, you keep talking. Sometimes if I let you keep talking, and you stick both feet in your mouth. So, you acknowledge, sir, let me take your best case scenario, that you used her credit cards, but the agreement was you would pay for those credit card bills.
Correct.
So why didn't you pay them?
I was paying. I have proof here that I was paying them every month.
How much were you
Okay,
paying?
I was paying $140 a month.
So therefore, Mr. Valley, you acknowledge that you owe her $5,000.
No.
Well, explain that to me, sir.
Because
either you took the credit cards, pay attention to what you just said. Either you took the credit cards, as she says, without her permission, or you had her permission, but your agreement was that you would be paying a minimal rent and you would take care of all the charges on the credit cards. That's what you just told me a moment ago. So explain to me why you don't owe her $5,000.
I was to take full responsibility what I put on the credit cards, Your Honor.
That's not what you told me, sir.
Well, that's
I mean,
what
how
I
does that work out? You order 2 egg roll, you pay for yours and you don't pay for hers?
No, Your Honor.
You you put gas in the car, you split that down the middle. How does that work?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Chevy pickup, when we purchased it, it was bone stock.
No, I purchased the truck. He has credit worse than a 2-year-old.
And later today,
I apologized and I told her I was late on the payment and that I would get to it. She...
Talk. Did you make March's payment?
No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aaron O'Neill says ex-fiancé Jason Valley forged her signature to make unauthorized credit card charges. Jason says he had permission.
Go ahead.
If you look on the credit card statements, it shows her charges, then my charges. Her charges, then my charges.
I'm talking about your charges, which are in excess of $5,000, sir. Not her charges. The charges that you made, whether it be for gas or restaurants or anything else. Now, are you telling me now that your agreement was that you would split those charges 50-50?
We never had that agreement, no.
So your agreement was that you were supposed to pay the credit cards?
For my charges, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. So we just took care of that. Give a guy long enough and he always just gets right in there. All right, Mr. Valley, now let's get to your counterclaim, sir. Let's start with this truck that you say she owes you money for.
Back in October, we purchased a 98 Chevy extended cab four-wheel drive together. Okay, my financing wasn't going to be the greatest. She said, let's put it in my name, we'll get a cheaper finance rate. The Chevy pickup, when we purchased it, it was bone stock. It was no add-ons, no nothing. I purchased lift kit, all kinds of accessories, and when we broke up, she came to my shop saying, I want the truck. I said, that's not a problem. I will take my stuff off, I will put your tires back on, do whatever has to be done. No, I want it now. I said, well, I'd like to have my property. And she says, no, take me to court.
Yes.
Okay. We purchased the truck? No. I purchased the truck. He has credit worse than a 2-year-old. I purchased the vehicle myself.
Who's making the payments on the truck?
He was making the payments on the truck, which I also show that he was also delinquent on the payments for the truck. So I had to pay $500 just to get current when all of this happened.
Who's making payments on the truck now?
He was. Oh, I am.
Now?
Oh, I am.
Okay. Is the truck in your name?
Yes. Always has been.
Did you ever make an arrangement with him that he would be reimbursed for any additions or any modifications that he put on the truck?
No.
All right. Now let's leave the truck for a minute. Did you enter some sort of a contest with him?
Yes.
All right. And that's the last part of your counterclaim, sir, that She owes you for half the prizes that were awarded to you as a couple from this dream wedding contest, which turned out to be not a dream wedding.
Nightmare.
So, tell me about that.
We won gift certificates to different places like jewelry stores, and it was like $3,000 in gift certificates.
Okay, you want to respond?
Yes, Your Honor. The total for the gift certificates retail face value was $3,305. None of the gift certificates have been used. I have sold about half of them in retail value, and I have had $1,200 from those gift certificates, and I'm also showing that...
Show it to him, as a matter of fact, first, before you give it to me.
And I also have the original entry showing that it's all in my handwriting and my effort that was placed forth, and again, my effort to sell.
But you won as a couple?
Correct.
All right, and you sold some of them, is that right?
Right, and the ones I have remaining that I did not sell actually equal $50 greater value than the profit that I made on the ones I sold, and I'm more than welcome to hand them over to him now.
Okay. Mr. Valley, you want the other half of the gift certificates?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Give them to him. Perfect.
There's the photographer, $955, a caterer for $250, and then 2 vacations. One has a retail value of $475, and the other's unmarked, but it, I'm assuming is
whatever. That's what he wants. He wants to sell it or he wants to use it. All right. Now, I think that we have resolved this matter. Mr. Valley, you owe $5,000 for the charges that you put on her credit cards that, according to you, you were supposed to pay for. According to her, you stole. I take your word for the fact that you had a permission, but you agreed to pay for them. So you owe $5,000. The vacation packages and the photographer, you have half the value of the gift certificates. As far as the truck is concerned, I find that there was never an agreement that you would be reimbursed for anything that you put in the truck. The truck is in her name. She is currently paying for the truck, so for the truck you get nothing. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He really thought he was sneaky and that he would get away with stealing forever.
It's her word against mine.
26-year-old handyman Tony Evans is suing his former friend, 31-year-old landscaper Audra Tracy, for the value of a stolen money order.
Mr. Evans, according to your complaint, the defendant was a friend of yours, and there had been times, because she didn't have a checking account, that you cashed checks for her.
Yes, ma'am.
On this particular instance, she came to you and told you she had a money order and asked you to cash it for her. You did.
Yes.
And several days later, you were notified by your bank that the money had been withdrawn from your account because the money order had either been stolen, reported stolen, or a stop order had been put on the money order. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you want the money back?
Yes, I do.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding her request.
She called me up on my cell phone and said that the father of her children had come into town out of the blue. He hadn't been paying child support ever, and he gave her a money order for $1,000 and wanted to know if I had cash. I've cashed plenty of checks for her, and I didn't think nothing of it. And when I showed up, she said, well, it's for $1,000, but it's a money order. It's guaranteed funds. You got nothing to worry about. Because up till then, I didn't cash nothing for that amount of money. So I thought about it and said, hey, you know, it's a money order, guaranteed funds. It's not like it's a checking account. So I cashed the money order for her.
How did you do that?
We went to the bank. She signed the money order that was written to her. She endorsed it. I signed it and cashed it and handed her the money. And in the bank was the last time I ever saw my $1,000.
Did she ever tell you about this father of her children before you cashed the money order?
I don't know anything about him.
Just that you knew she had children?
She had children, so obviously they probably have a father, yes.
Okay. All right, Miss Tracy, let me hear from you.
Pretty much everything that he said, it happened. To me, the money order was a legit check. That's the only reason why I asked Tony to do it, because like he said, he has cashed checks for me prior, because I don't have a bank account. When we cashed this check, I went back and gave the money to Dolan. After that, Tony got a hold of us a couple of days after that saying the bank, you know, he was out of $1,000, we need to get down to it. So we addressed Dolan, both me and him both did at that time, and Dolan got on the phone and was trying to call somebody in Missouri, a friend of his that supposedly put the stop payment on it. To me, I was an innocent bystander, and I understand Tony wants to get his money back, and I try to get him and Dolan to deal with it themselves and keep me out of it, because it basically, he wrote the check out to me, and I don't feel like I'm totally blamed for the $1,000.
Even though she got the $1,000?
Even though I got the $1,000, which I gave to Dolan, and in return he gave me $300 for child support.
And I haven't received child support from him in like 12 years.
So you feel as if Dolan is responsible?
Yes,
for
I
the money.
definitely do.
That's your defense?
Yeah.
That you're an innocent bystander?
Yes.
All right. I have some questions for you, Ms.
Okay.
Tracy. Were you ever married to Dolan?
No, I was not.
But you were in, I assume, a long-term relationship with him?
For on and off for 5 years.
And after he cashed this money order, did Dolan stay with you for a while?
Yes, he did stay with me for
How
about
long?
a week. And
Just
then-
a week?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, tell me what you know about Dolan. Does Dolan work?
He's always worked. When I was with him,
Has he ever been incarcerated?
Yes, he has.
How many times?
He's incarcerated right now, and I do believe this is his second time being incarcerated.
What do you mean you do believe? While you were together for that 5 years, had he been in jail before?
No, he was not together in those 5 years, and that's like 12 years ago, so.
Okay, so, but you believe that he's been incarcerated on at least 2 occasions?
Yes, yes.
Do you know what for?
Drug charges.
Using, selling, or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. So.
Little?
Manufacturing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
a little bit of, he's a
Everything.
bit of an
He's
entrepreneur,
pretty
he's a
bad seed.
businessman, he's a salesman, and he also uses his own product.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, there you go. That'll work.
Was he ever abusive towards you?
Yes, he was.
Was he ever physically abusive
Yes, he
towards
was.
you? Prior to him cashing this check for you, not long time ago, just recently, did you know about Dolan's drug involvement?
No, I didn't. I didn't hear or see from him for about 8 years, so showing up on my doorstep, it bewildered me because I haven't seen him in so long.
Oh,
So
but you did know one thing. You knew that he had been working.
Yes.
And that he hadn't paid child support. Is that right?
Yes.
So you knew he was a deadbeat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And had he seen his children in those years?
Nope.
So you knew he was irresponsible?
Very much.
So, Miss Tracy, let me ask you this question. If you went to Mr. Evans, who was a friend of yours, and said, look, I have this money order. It was given to me by the father of my children, who is a lowlife, irresponsible, deadbeat, abuser, and we'd like you to cash it for us. Do you think he would have cashed it for you? Probably not. So you had information about the person who you were asking him to vouch for by giving him money that he didn't have. Mr. Evans, if she had said to you, here is a money order by this lowlife, drug abusing, drug selling, drug manufacturing, irresponsible, deadbeat person who I once knew 8 years ago, but I haven't seen since, would you have cashed her money order?
No, I wouldn't.
Of course not. So you go after Dolan.
That was my point.
Absolutely. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Berardi versus Berardi, step forward, please.
Fleet manager John Berardi is suing his ex-wife, homemaker Lisa Berardi, for an unpaid loan for their son's legal fees. Lisa claims the money was John's idea.
Mr. Berardi, the defendant is your former wife. According to your complaint, you say that she owes you $950 for legal fees that were incurred by your 14-year-old son. 14-year-old son evidently got a hold of a BB gun, and he shot the BB gun while he was in his mother's custody. Was anybody injured?
No.
Some property damage?
A hole in a window.
Okay. He was arrested, and you claim that his mother borrowed the money from you to pay for a lawyer. You want the money back? Okay. When were you divorced?
When were we divorced? I don't remember the date.
I asked the question.
I don't
You
remember the date.
She'll remember. When were you divorced?
89.
What month?
It was during summertime, about June, July.
I know the hour and the second. In any event, sometime during the summer of 1989. So your son was very young at the time because he's 14 years now. Do you share custody of him?
Yes.
Do either of you pay support?
No.
You each take care of him when you have him?
Yes, ma'am.
So to say, yes.
What do you mean that's so to say? I don't understand that.
Well, he resides with me.
And he was visiting with you? Where'd he get the BB gun from?
A friend of mine. We borrowed the BB gun so we can take him up to Pennsylvania by my brother's house.
Okay. Tell me about the loan, sir.
After I got the letters from the court stating that he had to be defended by an attorney, I called around, and the cheapest attorney I could find was $1,000. since I was not receiving any child support, it was very difficult for me to have to spend that kind of money. I called his mother and I told her the only way I could do it is if I took the money from a credit card. She told me that she would pay me the full amount for the attorney. She would give me $50 to $100 a month when she could, and every time I asked, she never seemed to have the money for it. Finally, she told me that she would give it to me from her tax return this year, and when that came in, she had to use it for something else. So, again, I didn't receive any money. I just felt like I was being taken advantage of, so I had to file the claim.
Go ahead.
I don't feel that I owe him.
No, the question is, did he call you and tell you about the attorney?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Well, tell me about your version of your recollection of that conversation.
When he called, he told me that he needed an attorney for my son and that the cheapest was $1,000. I did not have $1,000 or $500 to give him. And I said, let me find out and see if I can do it through legal aid. But because my son resides with his father was held responsible for that. So I said, okay, at least I tried. He asked me, if I, for me to pay him. And at the time, I wound up getting laid off at my job. I was on unemployment. I was backed up with bills. I could not afford to pay it. I did say to him that when I would get my unemployment, I would, give him some money. When my unemployment came in, it wasn't what I was expecting. So I could not afford, because I've been backed up. I'm backed up with bills. Now I'm on disability.
What's the nature of your disability?
I fell and I broke my tailbone and I have 4 herniated and ruptured discs.
You owe him the money, and you're going to pay him the money, and I'm going to tell you why. You're getting a free ride. You haven't paid him child support.
He waived that. I support my child when he's by me.
No. He may not pursue you for child support, but that doesn't mean that you're not getting a freebie, madam. Just because you're the mother and he's the father and he happens to have custody of the child, the law is gender blind. We don't see mother, father, we just see 2 parents. And each parent is responsible for the child's support. And you've been getting away with it for a long time. So, I believe that you said to him, when I get my money, I'll help you out as best I can, and he relied on that. And how much was the lawyer, $950?
The lawyer was $1,000.
Well, you're suing for $950 because she gave you $50.
She gave me $50, right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $950. Consider yourself lucky. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I couldn't afford it.
I just want to put the matter behind us and move forward.
I just told him whenever I had the money.
We have to parent our child together. And
if I can afford to give it to him, I would.
We have to do that respectfully.
Administrative Assistant Madeline Nieves is suing her former friend, waiter Stephen Joyle, for an unpaid loan for rent. Stephen is countersuing, claiming Madeline threw his car keys into a cow pasture.
Come to order, all rise.
Now, this is case number 235 on the calendar in the matter of Nieves versus Joyle. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Nieves, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of $160 for rent.
That's correct.
He called you, he needed some money for rent. He was a friend of yours, off and on boyfriend, so you loaned him the money. That was in what month?
July.
And he hasn't paid you back?
Sure. I never called back.
The defendant says that, yes, you did in fact give him $160 for rent. That $160 was a gift, and he never agreed to pay you back. You gave it to him because you were a nice person, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he has a counterclaim. Mr. Joyle says that you threw his keys in a field.
Cow field.
What?
A cow field.
In a cow field. As a result of which, he couldn't find his car keys, he couldn't get to work, he was docked pay, and ultimately lost his job. So he is counterclaiming for $400. So I'm going to deal with his counterclaim first.
Okay.
When was this incident with the car keys?
Like May 30th or something like that. I got
May 30th of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Before the rent?
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't have money for the rent, because Roger claims my keys into a cow field. If I didn't lose my job, I don't know where that came from, but I got written up. I have the slip where I got written up and I couldn't work for a week. I lost 40 hours.
Why couldn't you work?
I got suspended.
Okay. May the 30th. Tell me what happened on that day, Mr. Joyle.
Well, we were out.
Paper down. It's making me nervous.
We were at this bar, and she had happened to walk in, and I was with this other girl. She gave me kind of like the evil eye, you know what I mean, from across the room. So the next morning, she comes to my house, and She starts yapping about how I got to show her some respect and this and that. But she's not my girlfriend. You know, we just, every now and then we'll hang around. And my keys are on the patio table. I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I'm taking off. She goes, you ain't going nowhere. And that's when I chuck my keys right into the damn cow field. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get into work because I had no keys. And there's bulls in that field.
How far from your house did you work?
I don't know.
10 minutes.
About 10 minutes, half an hour by bus. But the way this bus schedule goes, I had to be in work at 5, and I wouldn't get there until like 5:15, 5:30.
You have to take an earlier bus.
Well, if she wouldn't have threw my keys inside the cow field, I wouldn't have to take a bus, right?
But you'd have to take an earlier bus if you
Well,
wanted
yeah,
to
well, I
go to
did.
work.
Well, I took the bus.
Good. Oh, good. Now,
That's how I
after
got
May
to work.
30th with the cow field and the key, by the way, did you finally find your keys?
Yeah, it took me about 6 days.
Okay, but you finally found them.
Yes, ma'am.
But you had plenty of time because you weren't going to work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Did you see Miss Nieves between May 30th and the date in July when she gave you this money?
Yeah, I seen her around.
Did you have dinner with her?
Nah.
Were you ever alone with her?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
What does that mean?
Well, you know, it's like casual kind of thing. Sometimes we hang out, sometimes we don't. But I'm almost positive we hung out.
I mean alone.
Yeah.
Not at the bar.
Yeah,
Now,
alone.
when you hung out alone with her, where did you hang out?
At the bar and then probably back at her house.
Did you ever hang out with her at your house alone?
Yeah.
Between May 30th and July when she gave you the money?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, tell me about the conversation that you had with Miss Nieves about your need for money for rent. Where were you when you had this discussion about July's rent?
We were at, actually, we were at one of my friend's house after the bar. We didn't discuss my rent. I'm just like, oh, you know, I gotta go home. I gotta deal with this. I don't have my money for the rent. She's like, I'm financially secure this month or something like that. She goes, I'd like to help you out. I'm like, cool. That was it. And the only time she bring up that I owed her money is because when I was with, she seen me with this other girl. I started seeing this other girl, and that's when all this came about.
Yes, go ahead.
That story has more BS than the cow fields he's referring to. First of all, I don't know anything about keys. As a matter of fact, I remember...
I'm not interested in the keys.
Okay,
His
well...
countersuit is... Okay. Pay careful attention to me. His counterclaim is nonsense. Because if he was truly concerned, angry, felt as if you had done something that caused him to be suspended, then he wouldn't have seen you between May 30th and July. And he would have sued you, which he didn't. And he wouldn't have taken money from you, whether a gift or a loan. So I'm dismissing your counterclaim.
So why wouldn't I take the money
Listen
from
to
her?
me. I'm dismissing your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get to your version of how it came about that you parted with $160.
I left work one afternoon, I checked my cell phone, and I got 2 messages from the defendant. When I got home, I realized that he left another 2 messages. When I returned his call, he asked for a favor. And when I asked what it was, he said that he needed to borrow some money to pay his rent.
I never said
and
that.
of course,
That's a lie.
And of course, I was hesitant to do so, but he continued to say that his brother was going to give him the money that Friday. And I told him that I would loan him the money only under the condition that his brother was paying him and he would pay me with that money.
Okay. What date did you actually hand him the money?
July 21st. I have a photocopy of the ATM receipt.
And when did you ask him for the money back?
That Friday, July 25th.
Well, he said he was going to get money, according to you, on Friday.
Well, yes, he was going to get money from his brother, which in turn he was going to give it to me. So,
Not the truth. I never mentioned my... She's lying.
So Friday came and went. He never called me. That Saturday, I went down to the restaurant where he works. I told him I was very disappointed that I didn't hear from him. He said that he had to pull some double shift or something and he didn't have time, that he was planning to call me. I asked when I was going to get paid. He asked me to return to the restaurant that evening at closing time, and he could only pay me $50 at that time. And I was a little upset because that wasn't our agreement. I left. I came back at closing time. I asked a coworker to let him know that I was there, and I found out that he already left the premises. So I let things go, you know, let things cool down. I waited a couple of weeks or so. Well, one Thursday, which was, I believe, was August 7th, I was with a girlfriend. We went to the restaurant, and I asked him at that point, you know, when he was planning to pay me back. He was avoiding me by, you know, busting the tables and just walking away from me, and I was getting really frustrated at that
full
point.
Of dishes. How am I avoiding you?
Mr. Joyelle, one person talks at a time.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So anyway, he avoided me, and I said, I want to know when I'm going to get paid. He says, well, why don't you stop by my house that Sunday? And I said, well, what's going to happen on Sunday? And he became really irritated, and he said, just stop by my house. I said, I want to know what's going to happen on Sunday. And he said, just leave me alone, or I'll have you thrown out of the restaurant. And that's pretty much all of it in a nutshell.
First of all, she's lying, okay? Because this is the guy she said, the co-worker that she was talking about.
No, that wasn't him.
That's him. What the
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I know her. If there was the money, I'd assume that she'd probably be like, you know when he's gonna give me this money or something.
Sit down.
And later today,
Somebody told her that there was a dent in her car, and she didn't go downstairs to look at it.
No.
Is everything that you've told me as truthful as the fact that you don't drive this uninsured car?
Yes, Your Honor.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Madeline Nieves says former friend Stephen Joyle owes for an unpaid loan for rent. Stephen says Madeline flipped out when she saw him with another woman.
What is she lying about, sir?
There was never nothing about paying back. She knew that I was low on rent, and she said she'd like to help me out. So I was like, okay. And she had took me on trips before, taken me out, got me loaded, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So she took me to Martha's Vineyard. She took me to
Martha's Vineyard.
I'm not
Miss Nieves, don't interrupt him.
Right.
The only reason why she's saying that I owe her money is because she's all upset because I'm with this other chick, and that's it.
How old are you?
She never said nothing about money or anything like that. Huh?
This is not a hard question. They get harder.
How old am I? 29.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a waiter and busser and bar back at a house.
That is a 3-meal-a-day restaurant?
Restaurant, bar, comedy show. Maybe stop by sometime. I know you live in Connecticut.
What?
Nothing. I said maybe you might want to stop by. I'll hook you up. Free comedy show.
What an idiot. Miss Nieves, how old are you?
I'm 35. Can you please ask his witness about the evening that I went to the restaurant to ask for the money the first time, the same evening that he asked me to return, and he wasn't there? The witness there, Josh, was at the restaurant, and I asked if he's seen him, and he said no.
What day was that? Was that
That
Friday?
was July 26th.
Josh, up here, up here. What do you do at the restaurant?
I am a server at the restaurant.
You don't want to offer me a free night out, do you?
No.
Josh, that's a very wise idea.
Thank you.
But I want you to listen to me very carefully because my question's really not hard. Do you recall Miss Nieves coming into the restaurant to inquire about the whereabouts of Mr. Joyal and her money?
She never mentioned money at all.
What did she say?
She came in, she was like, is Steve here? Steve had gotten off probably like a half hour before she had arrived at the restaurant.
Okay.
She never said anything about money.
To you? She didn't say anything to you about money?
But I've known her for about 6 months, so she's an acquaintance through Steve. I've been over to her house as well with Steve. I know her. So if there was the money, I'd assume that she'd probably be like, do you know when he's going to give me this money or something to the sort.
Was I angry?
Sit down.
I just got booted.
Mr. Joyal, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Excuse me?
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know.
Have you thought about it?
No.
Your life is half over.
Hey, take it easy.
No, life's half over. You got to think about what you want to be. One thing you don't want to be is you don't want to be a bum.
Yeah, that's true.
Too late, Your Honor.
Miss Nieves, you're going to talk yourself into a dismissal. Okay. Do you understand?
I understand.
Fresh mouths don't go here. I don't care what side of the bench you're on.
I apologize.
The only one who's allowed to have a fresh mouth is me. Men who are bums take money from women who like them and who they have no feelings for because they're users. That makes a man a bum. Do you understand?
Sure.
You don't want to be a bum, do you?
I'm not a bum.
You don't want to be a bum, do you?
Nope.
Good. Then you're going to give Miss Nieves back $160 and you will walk away from this relationship with your head held high and say, she helped me out, but I'm going to do the right thing, and the right thing is to pay her back. That way she doesn't have any hard feelings, and I'm going to be a man instead of a bum. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. That's all. And you two can leave, Josh.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess the judge didn't believe what I was saying. I think maybe asking her to go to the comedy show was kind of a wrong move.
I guess the judge can identify a liar when she hears one.
You never try to be funny in front of Judge Judy? That don't work.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hassanzadeh versus Clark. Step forward, please.
Kimberly Hasanzadeh and her daughter, 17-year-old Ashley, are suing singer Paul Clark and his son, 17-year-old Jeremy, for damage to her car. Ashley claims Jeremy and his friends pelted her with pudding.
What's your first name?
Jeremy.
How old are you, Jeremy?
17.
Are you an idiot?
No.
Is this your father?
Yes, yes.
Do you think your father would be very distressed to learn that after all that he's invested in you, he invested in an idiot?
I suppose so.
Yeah, right? Spent all that money? Let him drive a car? What kind of car was your father letting you drive?
This was a 91 Accord.
And who owns it?
It was actually my grandmother's.
So you have a grandmother who indulges you too?
Yeah.
Are you an only child, Jeremy?
No.
You have older siblings?
I have 2 older sisters and an older brother.
So you're the baby. Oh! There goes the problem, Mr. Clark. He's the baby. Ashley, did you know Jeremy before this event?
No, I did not.
Ashley's just driving her car, and you were driving your grandmother's car, and there were some other friends of yours that were in their cars.
Yes.
And some other friends who were also idiots, and they decided to throw pudding.
Yeah.
Not anything bad, just pudding.
Yeah, it's just...
What kind of pudding? Chocolate pudding? Vanilla pudding?
It was a vanilla chocolate swirl.
And had you all gotten these pudding cups before you got into your cars?
Yeah.
Where did you get them from, Jeremy?
The local grocery store.
You bought a 6-pack?
I think there's 2 6-packs per car. There's 3 cars.
Did you have spoons?
I actually did. Because
Okay. No, I'm trying to put this all together. You don't mind if I do this to your son, do you, Mr. Clark?
Fine, ma'am.
Okay, now you're driving your grandmother's car.
Yes.
And you acknowledge that you, in fact, did toss pudding out of the car.
Yes.
But it is your contention that your pudding didn't hit her car. It was somebody else's pudding that hit her car.
It was a failed attempt.
You had a failed attempt. So that's your defense.
Yes.
You say his pudding landed in your car.
Yes.
Okay. You're driving along and you have your pudding in your hand.
Not while I was driving, though.
Where was it?
It was in the center console.
Now, what prompted you, Jeremy, to pick up that pudding and chuck it out of your car?
The initial was that they flipped us off and sped off.
Ashley and her friends?
Yes.
Let me ask you this question. When you say they flipped you off, you do not have to demonstrate. Bird understands what that means, and so do I.
Yeah.
Were you saying anything to them, or any of your friends?
There was a light conversation, but...
There was light conversation?
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Like what kind of light conversation?
Well, we were driving next to him, and I had waved to him because they're looking over, so I politely waved.
Show me how you did that.
Kind of stuff. hey, how you doing? Type wave. We're going 45, 50 miles an hour down the road, and you can't really tell what they're saying.
Okay, so then they flipped you off, and you got mad. And did they flip you off or your friends as well?
Well, it was the car. It was kind of they took off and.
Well, but there was more than one car.
True,
so
but yeah,
you went like
it was
this.
my car.
So you were the one that was disrespected.
Yes, I felt disrespected.
Do you have a photograph of your car?
I took these photographs after she had cleaned it, but it will still show it got on the speaker. That it's the area she couldn't get it because it's convertible and the top was down, and she could not get it out of all the little areas.
Okay, did you pay to have it cleaned?
Yes. Here's the receipt.
Good.
And we just asked them to clean the areas where the pudding had gotten into the speaker and all the little areas of her soft top. The convertible top was down.
Okay. Now, Jeremy, who was it who landed their pudding in the plaintiff's car?
We actually don't know. We know what car it came
That's
from.
all I want to know.
Okay.
You actually don't know.
We actually
But
don't
it would
know.
be safe to say, Jeremy, since you were the one who was disrespected,
Yes.
and you were the one who threw the pudding first, even though it didn't land on the car, right?
Uh-huh.
Listen to this logic, Jeremy.
Okay.
You seem like a, at least academically smart boy.
Well, thanks.
Not socially adept, but academically smart boy. It would be a fair statement that your friends followed suit in the other cars, right?
Yes.
So you are a leader.
I am.
You know what
would be
leaders
considered a
do?
leader.
They take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So now we have, for your team, $89.99 plus tax, $96.76 for detailing. He's got to pay for being a fool. That's all. Right?
Right.
Good. No excuses. I love it. I love it. He's not such an idiot after all, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, ma'am.
All that money that you spent on the baby wasn't wasted. Judgment for
I
the
have great
plaintiff for the
kids.
amount of $96.76. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think Judge Judy did great. We really like her.
It was an idiot act on my part.
I wouldn't call it flirting by any means.
It's an example pudding. It shows that it's just a harmless piece of plastic with some tasty pudding in it.
We were just driving around and they were the ones who were trying to get our attention first.
You know, it's from the car out. It's kind of a lob. You know, we weren't looking for damage. Soft lob.
I think this boy's being really silly.
I apologize if you were hurt during the whole thing.
Apology accepted.
Oh, thank you.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mayers versus Reedy. Step forward, please.
Heavy equipment operator Larry Huffine is suing his ex-girlfriend, Sheindlin Donovan, for switching around his prepaid grave plots. Larry claims she forged a document to do it.
Find in the courtroom, please.
Now, this is case number 127 on the calendar in the matter of Huffine versus Donovan. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Huffine, was the defendant, what I gather is you had one son.
Yes.
Her daughter was in a relationship with your son.
Yes.
And he was tragically killed.
Right.
At that time, you decided to buy some burial plots.
5 of them.
So that when your son was buried, you would know that you would be buried next to him and where the family would be. She bought plots above you.
Her daughter did.
In any event, this is your complaint. You found out that a stranger had been buried in one of your plots.
Yes.
And it is your claim that Ms. Donovan caused that to happen.
Yes.
And that she forged your signature for the authorization with the cemetery.
Yes.
In order to move around the spots.
Right.
You say you never gave you permission for that.
That's correct.
And you want to be compensated.
Yes.
Ms. Donovan says that you did, in fact, give your permission, and she says that she can prove that you gave your permission. And she is counterclaiming because she said she's had to go through all kinds of legal gymnastics to clear herself of these allegations. So first tell me, when did your son pass away?
In 1997, December 24th.
And how did he die?
The doctor made a mistake, drilled into his brain.
So it was a surgical error?
Yes.
How long had you been living with Miss Donovan at the time?
Less than 2 years.
And how long had your son been involved in a relationship with her daughter?
Probably since, 13 years old.
How old was he when he died?
18.
Now, can you show me, please, the burial plot locations? I would like to be able to see that so I could put it in context.
I have a video right here, if you'd like it.
I would. Can you hold that a second, please? Mr. Huffine, can you walk up to the monitor, please?
Yes.
And I'd like you to sort of point out with me to your finger as it's being explained to me.
Alrighty.
Okay.
This one here is my parents. They're located in the upper cemetery. This right here is my son. When he passed away, I bought these 5 lots right here. This one included. I bought these 2 for me and whoever I was married to, and my ex-wife and whoever she was married to at the time. And the son was in the middle.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you bought your sons, one for you, one for your wife, should you remarry, one for your former wife, and her mate.
Yes, I did.
So that you would all be together. Now, where did the defendant's daughter buy their plot?
She bought the one in front of my son.
Excuse me? One, just a second. One plot or 2?
Just one.
In front of his?
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And on May 3rd, I got a call from my ex-wife, and she said, I'm at the cemetery. And she said, it scared me to death. Someone was in your plot, my plot that I bought. And I said, no, I think you're mistaking. And she says, no, I'm not. So I called Jerry, and I said, you didn't do anything with these plots, did you? And she goes, no, I didn't. So I went down the cemetery, and I seen that Anthony David was buried in one of my plots. So I went up to the...
Was it the one right next to your son or
No,
one over?
it was the end. So I went up to the main office there at the cemetery, and they gave me a letter that Jerry had wrote and forged and switched plots on me.
Can I see a copy of that
Yes.
letter, please?
And here's one from the notary if you'd like to look at that too, saying that he did not do that.
I'd like to see both. Continue.
And at this point, I went through different attorneys. They explained to me what she had did, and they gave me a copy of that.
And you said I never signed it.
No, I never signed that. She also called the cemetery and told them she did not remember doing this.
That's hearsay. Yes, I'll hear you.
I thought it would make it easier. I do have copies from the cemetery of the plots. That would make it easier for you.
I'd like to see them, please. Okay. Tell me the circumstances surrounding the plaintiff agreeing to switch cemetery plots so that you and your daughter would be together.
Side by side. I'd be head-to-head with Larry. She would be head-to-head with Michael. Michael's mother and her boyfriend would be on one side of Michael.
And Anthony Davis is a stranger to everybody.
Right.
So I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding Mr. Huffine agreeing to make that change, which in effect would say to him, if you marry either your wife or your ex-wife's mate could not be buried in the same line. Explain that to me.
When we bought the plots, and we did...
By the way, who bought them?
I did.
Larry did. They were under his name.
He paid for them?
Yes, but...
So he paid for them, so they were his plots?
Right. But all my monies went into Larry's checking account, and I do have proof of that.
I don't care about that.
Okay.
He bought the plots?
He bought the plots. They were in his name. At some point, I don't have a date, but I believe it was in early 1999, my daughter had said she wished that I would have bought my plot next to her. And she said, well, I wonder if you can switch it. I said, I don't know. So I called the cemetery. I asked the cemetery, can you exchange your plot if you want to? They said, you can, as long as you do it before the last payment is made, and it has to be a letter
from the owner,
a request
from the
in
owner.
writing, notarized. So I didn't do it immediately. I thought about it for a little bit of time, and to be honest, I don't remember any specific hard, long talks between Larry and myself. I just remember that he did agree to it. I did write the letter out myself.
You wrote the letter out yourself, and that was in 1999.
Correct.
Were you still together as a couple then?
Yes, we were.
When did you separate from Mr. Huffine?
The end of August 1999.
So not far after this.
Not
so I
far.
assume things had not been going well for a while.
Larry had suffered a lot of personality changes due, I guess, to Michael's death.
So things had not been going well for a while.
Right.
If you separated in August, and this was done in May, it was a brief few months. So I assume that in May, things were not going well between the two of you.
Everything seemed to be going fine, except for that Larry was very depressed a lot.
So things were not going fine.
Well, I don't know
I'm not
exactly what you
interested in what
mean.
you
I
have to
mean, we
say
weren't
now.
screaming, fighting, tearing each other's hair out.
Well, then how come you separated a couple of months later?
Because the end of June or July, he went to work in Utah, and he had an affair.
Yes?
And when I found out, I moved out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's his handwriting.
That is inconsistent with the notary's logbook.
Well, his log states that just one individual came.
Correct, and that's Miss Donovan, and she signed the cemetery affidavit.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Larry Huffine claims ex-girlfriend Sheindlin Donovan forged documents so she could switch around his prepaid grave plots.
So things were going absolutely fine until that time.
To me, they were.
And to you?
No, before I told her in the beginning of '99 she would be moving to start saving her money up and get her a place.
When did you tell her that?
Probably February.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her.
It took place. She told me she was going to move her daughter back in, and I said, no, she's not. And she says, well, if she's not moving back in, I'm moving out. And I said, well, I have to go to Utah till the end of August. When I come back, have your own place.
Why did you not want her to move her daughter back in?
Many different reasons. Her daughter was very disrespectful. She was 19 years of age. She was experienced an ecstasy drug, and I didn't want to be around it, and I told her no, and she could not accept that answer.
And that was in February?
That was in February, she knew.
After February, did you continue to live as a family with the defendant?
Yes.
Well, then how did she know you were serious?
Because when I told her she was moving out, I was very serious. She knew that.
Okay. Was your daughter living with you in January of 1999?
I don't believe so.
Was there a time when she was planning on moving back in 1999?
I don't remember.
Okay. It is your claim, Ms. Donovan, that the plaintiff agreed to switching of these plots. And according to your answer, you have an expert witness who is prepared to testify with regard to that. I'd like to hear the witness. Is that you?
Yes.
Step up, please. Witness been sworn, Berg?
Witness has been sworn, Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
Andrea McNichol.
Miss McNichol, when did you become familiar with the defendant?
Well, I actually just by telephone on May 8th, 2003.
And what did she tell you?
She asked me to examine a document, I guess you're calling that the cemetery plot document that was notarized. I asked her for the original. It's always best to examine the original. She called back later and said she made an attempt to get the original, that they would not make it available. I told her that anything that I could find would have to be contingent on that the copies that I looked at were true representations of the original. In other words, sometimes you get the original and you see that someone had cut and pasted something on there, or there are things on that that you cannot see when you see the copies. After that, she provided a large sampling of signatures. I told her to get the signatures of Larry Huffine and the notary.
Okay. This letter from the notary. Did you, in fact, examine the signature on the notary?
Yes.
And you concluded that the signature on the notary was the same?
Yes.
To my naked eye, the J's are totally different.
Well, if you'll notice on the letter, he writes his J's 4 times.
Well, he wrote it because he evidently looked at this. You've seen this logbook?
Yes.
It is clear that according to the notary's logbook, he did, in fact, notarize something for Miss Donovan.
Correct. But I would like to call your attention to the fact that I was also provided a large sampling of his signatures, not just the one.
May I see them, please?
Yes. Actually, I prepared this whole report. This is the copy they made for you.
Now, that's what I'm looking at. Well, clearly, his signature on this document, which has nothing to do with this case, but I'm just looking at the signature, the J is different from the J on this document. Let's take a look.
I don't find it different.
Let's take a look.
You never sign your name the same way twice.
Let's take a look. No, but this J is totally backwards.
It's
and
my
that's
opinion
totally
that
different.
That's his handwriting.
I'm just asking you about the J.
Okay,
that's
well,
totally different.
This other document, he signs, in my opinion, with several shapes to the letter J.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This doesn't strike you as being strange?
Yes, it does.
Somebody sends an I love you greeting card and signs it, love Larry Huffine?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Larry Huffine says ex-girlfriend Sheindlin Donovan switched around his prepaid grave plots without his permission.
What do you say is his handwriting in this?
Just the notary box.
In this?
Just in the notary box. Now, unless the whole notary area was cut and pasted on here, this is his handwriting in this lower
Which is
right
a
corner.
possibility.
Yes, without seeing the original, it is a possibility.
That is inconsistent, however, with his log.
Right, but his contention...
No, not his contention, but it's inconsistent with his log.
Well, his log states that just one individual came in.
Correct. Just one individual, and that's Miss Donovan, and she signed a cemetery affidavit. Okay. And it is your opinion that the signature on this cemetery document is his signature?
Yes.
Would you go over there and bring that board up closer to me so that I can see it?
I do have original documents, if you'd like to see them.
Okay, so the question signature from this cemetery document is at the top.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I have not had the opportunity to examine the original, but if the copy shows that there was not a cut and paste and that this ink was placed upon the paper, then these signatures match exactly to these other signatures.
Some of these are from checks and some of these are from other things.
Correct.
Cards, greeting cards, etc.
Yes.
Okay. Put that back, please, Ms. McNichol. I'd like you up here, please. Are you telling me that you made your decision based on the documents that the defendant gave you?
Yes.
And one of the documents that she gave you was a greeting card. I have it here, Hallmark greeting card. I'd like to see the original. Bird, would you hand me the original, please?
I think that's all of them. There's several originals.
I just want to look at the greeting card.
A little strange with a love and a full name.
Isn't it?
This
is the one. Ms. McNichol, this doesn't strike you as being strange?
Yes, it does.
Somebody sends an I love you greeting card and signs it, love, Larry Huffine.
And the
He
date.
signed every card he ever gave me.
Everything she gave me
Full,
was like
Larry D. Huffine, Larry Huffine, always.
3700, love, Larry Huffine.
I can only go on what's presented to me.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good. Now I will hear from your daughter. She's been dying to say something. I'm going to hear from you.
Your Honor, you have a letter right in front of you from the cemetery saying that the document is an original document.
No, it's not an original. I don't have an original.
It's a true
It is a true...
I do not have an original.
The city of Las Vegas will not release it?
I do not have an original,
No,
and neither, listen to me, and neither did your forensic expert have an original. Now, your forensic expert could have seen the original, but your forensic expert does not have the original.
No, that's not what I'm referring to, ma'am.
Fine.
I'm referring to you have a letter before you.
I understand what you told me, that some clerk said that this is a copy of the original. I understand what you're saying to me. You're not going to be able to change that your forensic expert did not have the original. I have to make a judgment, and my judgment is based on several things. I believe, Ms. McNichol, that you are a qualified expert in the field of forensics. I believe that you were quite honest with me when you said that you did not have the original, and that perhaps, had you had the original, your judgment would have been different. Without having the original, you believe the copy of the document that I have is Larry Huffine's signature. I disagree with you. I have to ask myself why someone who had so carefully planned for the death of his entire family would have permitted a scenario where a stranger could be buried next to him. That's one thing. The timing of this letter is also very important. Miss Donovan would have me believe that Mr. Huffine would, during a time of domestic strife, be so kind as to permit the defendant and her daughter to move into a situation where a stranger is occupying the cemetery plots that he has bought and paid for. That doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. So I do not believe that he ever agreed to this. Now, I also find most bizarre a love card that is signed, Love, Larry Huffine. But some people maybe that's strange, and it is possible that that's strange. I have to make a judgment based upon what has a ring of truth to it. What has a ring of truth to it is Miss Donovan's daughter wanted to be close to her mother and close to the teenage boyfriend. And she persuaded her mother, who knew she was on her way out of this relationship, to forge this signature. I believe that that's what happened. And since I'm the final arbiter, because that's where you've put this case, your counterclaim, Miss Donovan, for damages due to defamation of character and slander are dismissed, and I am awarding Mr. Huffine the $5,000 that he has requested, which is the maximum possible allowance that this court can grant him, although I don't know how he can ever rectify the situation that has occurred with the cemetery plot. I doubt very much whether he can, and for that I am, sir, sincerely sorry. That's all. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
To be accused of forgery and fraud is not very pleasant.
He is good at gluing stuff on and whiting things out. I've seen her do it on prescriptions before.
He has a new wife now. I believe that she is very upset that there's not going to be a place for her.
She's evil. That's all there is to it.
She's a professional con.
I've never had the deed, never seen the deed, never been in possession of the deed.
Just thank you, Judge Judy, for doing the right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Alejo versus Just. Step forward, please.
Grocery store owner Kimberly Alejo is suing her former friend, housekeeper Katie Just, for stealing $300 from her home. Katie denies the charge.
Miss Alejo, the defendant was a babysitter of yours.
Yes.
And it is your claim that she took $300 in cash from your home.
Correct.
When was this?
February 28th.
Tell me about the cash. Where was it?
My husband put it under the VCR before he left, and he told me that it was
What
there.
time?
About 9 p.m.
And when did the defendant arrive?
She got there at about 7 o'clock that night.
She arrived at your house at 7 o'clock?
She was there before my husband left.
When did you notice that the money was missing?
About 10:30.
And you were home with her?
Mm-hmm.
Who else was in the house?
My children.
Did you ask her about the money?
No, I didn't, because she told me that she had put it up in the closet, and I thought that maybe it had fallen.
How did the issue of money come up at all?
I had just been operated on about 2 weeks ago, and they had to reopen my incision. And so I was on a lot of pain medicine, and that was the whole reason for her being there, was to help me with the kids, because I didn't think I could. And I thought that at about 10:30, I thought, I got to get up and put that money away. You know, put it in my billfold so I remember to take it with me in the morning. And when I got up, it wasn't there.
So at that point, you asked her about it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say? What did you say to her? What did she say to you?
I asked her if she'd seen the money, and she told me that she put it up under the towels in the closet. And then I proceeded to take everything down off the shelf where the towels and stuff were, and there wasn't anything there.
When you looked for it in the closet, was the defendant present?
Yes.
Did she say anything at that point?
She told me that maybe the kids must have got a hold of it. Again, my kids couldn't have reached the shelf in that closet.
What time did she leave?
About 3 o'clock in the morning.
Was that when she was supposed to leave?
No, she was supposed to stay the night.
Why did she leave at 3 o'clock in the morning?
She told me that she didn't feel comfortable spending the night at people's houses.
Was there any further discussion of the money?
She then called me the Saturday following, March 2nd, and told me that she would pay me the money back when she got her income taxes back.
Well, tell me about that conversation.
She just called me and told me that...
She called you and said what? Hello? What's your first name?
Katie.
Hello, this is Katie.
Uh-huh. And told me that the officer that had went down to question her about it after I reported it had made her feel really bad and uncomfortable, and she was just about ready to have a nervous breakdown about it, and that she would just pay me the money.
Did you have that conversation with her?
Yes, I did. It went somewhat like it.
Well, tell me about it.
I called her, and I told her I would pay her when I did get my income tax money, because I didn't want to get harassed by the police officers or anything anymore. And after a couple days, I thought about it. It's like I'm more or less telling her I did supposedly take this money.
That's what it was saying. I'll pay you the money when I get my income tax money back.
And I thought about it after I had the phone call with her, and I said, I'm not going to pay her back because that's making me look like I did take the money.
Well, tell me about what you saw when you saw this money. You did see the money.
Yeah, I didn't know how much there was there.
Where did you see it?
It was on the floor.
So you saw a bunch of money?
Yeah, I just wrapped it up and put it up on the
Wrapped
shelf.
it up in what?
Nothing, I just wrapped the bills up.
Wrap them in what?
In each other. I didn't wrap them up into nothing. Like, you know how you fold money and put it like in your...
Well, fold it, yes, but that's not wrapping it up. You folded it, yes, and what did you do with it?
And I put it on the shelf.
In the bathroom?
In her bedroom.
And how high up is this shelf?
High enough where the two girls shouldn't have gotten it, but there was a chair in there, too.
Mm-hmm. Now, at some point you left early that evening, or in the wee hours of the morning. Why did you leave at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Because I tried to sleep and I couldn't, because I don't feel comfortable sleeping at other people's houses because it's not my bed, my house.
But you had agreed to stay with her the night?
Because she called me and nagged me for 25 minutes.
Okay, but you had agreed to stay with her the night?
Yes.
Miss Alejo, I read your papers, and in your papers you indicate that your daughter was a witness.
Yes.
This little girl, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a discussion with your daughter?
She brought it up to me later.
Your daughter?
Yes.
Your daughter is 6.
Uh-huh.
So you understand I can't take her sworn testimony, but I'd like to hear what she has to say. Have you done any preparation of her for today?
I've only told her that we were coming and that she was going to probably have to talk to you.
Okay, fine. Tell me her name.
Vanessa Ramirez.
Okay, Vanessa, could you come sit up here for me, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Alejo says former friend Katie Just stole $300 from her home. Kimberly claims her 6-year-old daughter Vanessa saw the whole thing.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi.
How old are you?
6.
Do you go to school? What grade are you in school?
Kindergarten at Sunset.
Have you been in school before this year? Or is this your first year?
No, it's my before year.
So you were there before. Could you sit still?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So you think you're a real smart girl? Are you smart? Do you remember a day when this young lady was babysitting for you? How many times has she taken care of you?
Like about 3 times.
Has she been nice to you?
Yeah,
You like her?
not anymore.
But did you before? Did she play with you?
She put cartoons on to watch.
What's your favorite cartoon?
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. I have a son-in-law who loves SpongeBob. Okay. Do you remember a time when she was babysitting for you and there was some money?
Mm-mm.
You don't remember that?
But I know she stole the money.
But you didn't see her with any money.
I told my mother and my dad put it under the VCR.
No, tell me what you saw. Don't tell me what you told your mom.
Okay.
Tell me what you saw with the money.
I saw that she put it in her pocket and she had the money, but my sister first had the money and then...
How did your sister get the money?
Under the VCR.
How old is your sister?
2.
So she reached up and took the money? And what happened to her when she reached up and took the money?
She got the whole thing and she was playing with it.
Where was she playing with it? On the floor?
Yes.
Were you playing with her?
Mm-mm. I was watching cartoons.
So what was she doing? Spreading the money all over the place?
Uh-uh.
How was she playing with it?
Like going like this, picking them up.
Okay. And then what happened?
I told my mom that Graciela had the money and then Katie came in and got the money and put it, like folded it and put it in her pocket.
You saw her fold it and put it in her pocket? Did you see where she went with it after that?
Yes.
Where did she go with it after that?
In the living room.
Did you see what she did with the money in the living room?
She wasn't doing nothing. She didn't even pull it out.
She just had it in her pocket?
Yes.
When your sister was playing with the money, was it all in one pile or was it in lots of piles?
It was folded and it wasn't in any piles.
Can you count?
To what?
10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Were there more than 10 bills or less than 10 bills?
Less.
How many bills were there?
Like about $3.
$3? Thank you. There you go. What were the denominations of the bills that your husband left you?
There were 2 $100 bills and 2 $50 bills.
Anything else you want to tell me?
That Kim went back to check I'd see if the money was there. And then it wasn't. We searched through her bedroom, the clothes that she had on her, my clothes that I had on me, my shoes, my pillows, and everything. We did not find it. I ended up going home at 3 o'clock that morning because I could not sleep there. I called her the next morning, came up, and helped her look for it again. And we still could not find it. So she ended up going to her store that she runs, and I ended up going home.
Did she come back to your house the next day?
Yes, she did. But she did not help me look for it.
What was the purpose of her coming back the next day?
To see if I needed her to babysit that day. And at that point, with her leaving at 3 o'clock in the morning, that money being gone, I thought, you know, if I can't trust her with cash in my house, how can I trust her with my kids?
Did you know that your 2-year-old had gotten her hands on that money?
After the fact, yes. Vanessa says that she told me that, but I was on some very strong pain medicine because they reopened my incision, and I don't remember her saying that to me.
Ms. Alejo, I'm sure that the police told you what I'm going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
There is a possibility that Miss Just took your money, but there is also a possibility that she did not. I mean, I can think of other scenarios that might have happened with that money if your kids are inquisitive and managed to get it from under the VCR. So it's possible that they could have gotten it from where she says she put it. And before I am prepared to label someone a thief, I have to have much more evidence. even in a civil proceeding, because I think that before you say somebody is stolen, you have to be really comfortable with that. So only Miss Just knows whether or not she was just or not and took your money. But I cannot award you the $300 that you're missing. Do you understand?
The only thing that I have to say about that is that the towels were still all folded, still in the same place where I'd left them. There's no way my kids got up there under the towels and pulled the money down.
I probably believe you. I mean, I believe you. I believe that there was money. I believe that it's missing. And I believe that there is a substantial possibility that you took it. But I'm not prepared to label her a thief. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So next time you tell your husband that if he wants to leave some money for you, to take it and put it in your wallet. Okay. Put your wallet in your pocketbook. You the husband? The pocketbook someplace secure, and then we don't have to worry about it, right?
Yeah, I told him like, put in the pocket. She told me put in the VCR.
Is that what you told him?
I told him to put the money up for me.
Okay. Then it's not your fault. I was prepared to blame you, but it's not your fault. Got a new babysitter?
Yes, I do.
Good. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I thought Judge Judy was fair enough for both of us.
She was my friend, and that money should have never disappeared because it was me and a friend and my children.
These two people lived together for 17 years.
He lived on her, Your Honor.
This is the person your sister chose to live with.
No love lost on her lost sister's love.
He went from being a loving person to a person that was vindictive and treating my sister like dog, poo.
Miss Wells, let me explain something to you. Nobody looks into somebody else's bedroom. Wells, is this your daughter?
Yes.
Your first name is?
Connie.
Connie, you were one of a twin.
Yes, I was.
And your twin sister died.
Yes.
What was her name?
Carolyn.
When did she pass?
April the 16th.
Mr. Smith, you lived with Carolyn for 17 years.
Yes, I did.
You never married?
No, we didn't.
Is there any reason that you never married?
Yes, we discussed getting married, but for various reasons, mainly monetary reasons, we kept putting it off.
She had a kidney condition?
She was a diabetic. Okay. She had kidney failure.
And she died without a will. And the only monetary property that she had was an insurance policy. And there were two beneficiaries on the insurance policy, her mother and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
How much was that insurance policy?
42.
It was for $44,000. The money was divided equally between Dolores Wells and myself.
Okay. It is your claim that Mr. Smith has property that belongs to your sister and your daughter that should rightfully be yours.
Well, actually, he has pictures of me and her as children, 7 months old baby pictures that I could never get again. And he has
Okay, just 1 second. Do you have any objection giving her twin the pictures of the two of them as children?
None whatsoever.
Fine, we've just taken care of the pictures. What else?
Well, actually, I just want her personal belongings.
Just no. Personal belongings is very, very nebulous. You tell me exactly what it is that you think you are entitled to.
I think I'm entitled to her driving license plus a Social Security number card.
Why would you want that? Just because for sentimental reasons?
No. It's due to the fact because Mr. Smith refused to let me have anything convertible of what she had, and he changed locks, wouldn't even see. I was there, and I was the one that was taking care of her. I wouldn't even got this back, which is mine. I let her use my ring to go on vacation 1 year, and if I hadn't got it during the process of being there, I wouldn't have been able to get my ring because he refused to even invite us over to the house to get anything.
Well, it depends upon what you wanted to get. You have any problem giving her mother her Social Security card?
No, I don't.
And her driver's license?
No, I don't.
Fine. Those things you can have along with the pictures. What else?
Actually, we want all her personal things.
You keep saying all her personal things.
She had 1,000 movie collection tapes. She had
Just a
albums.
second. No, but just a second. Now you're talking different story. Now you're not talking sentimental things. Now you're talking things that are worth money. These two people lived together for 17 years.
He lived on her, Your Honor.
Whether he lived on her or not, this is the person your sister chose to live with. You just can't say, I want property. I want all her property.
Okay, my problem is, okay, Judge, this man has a double life. He's been living all of a sudden, he went from being a loving person to a person that was vindictive and treating my sister like dog poo.
Miss Wells, let me explain something to you. Nobody looks into somebody else's bedroom.
We were there.
You or your mother, your sister was an adult. She chose this man for 17 years, longer than most marriages. The fact that she is gone now doesn't give you license to look into their relationship and say, I don't like it. Doesn't give you license to do that. It's a very foolish thing for you to do. Sometimes dealing with death, it's easier to be angry with someone, to vent it in anger than to feel the pain that somebody died. So it's very easy to be angry with this man rather than feeling the sadness of your sister's passing. That happens. It's a very natural thing, but it's a very unhealthy thing. So the things that these two people accumulated, irrespective of whose money paid for it, he has in his possession in his home. There are certain personal effects that I can understand you and your mother may want.
Well, he told me that I can have all her clothes. Okay, I'm the only one that can fit her clothes, but I mean, he hasn't brought all of her clothes to me. He brought a couple of little items, maybe a jacket or something, but my sister has a wardrobe.
Do you have any clothes?
Yes, Your Honor. I took 5 bags of clothing and a box of shoes and other personal effects of Carolyn's to them, and Connie told me not to bring anything else because they didn't have any room.
When did you do that, Mr. Smith?
I did that about a month ago or more. And,
is that true?
It's true, but...
All right, that's all. I don't want to hear but. So he did bring over clothing and
brought
shoes.
A box of clothes and some material.
No, he said 5 bags of clothing.
It wasn't 5. He brought a bag of clothing, he brought a bag of material, and he bought the old raggedy shoes that she wore when she died.
Come on. You're talking $5,000 here. $5,000 doesn't fit old clothes. What else do you want?
My sister had stuff she never wore.
Listen to me.
Well, I want her albums.
You can't have her albums.
He already told me I can have them.
Then he'll give them to you. I'm not awarding you money for them. What?
May I? She also had cash in her savings account. She just had got her income tax. It was $1,500 that she put in her savings. Plus, she had $200 worth of quarters, which was in their bedroom. And when I went there to look in there, they was not there.
What did you go in there to look in there for?
I was sleeping in there.
What did you go in their room to look in their room?
And she sent me in there to get medication and stuff.
What did you go and look at her quarters for?
Because I don't want to
This is a couple.
Okay.
This is a couple.
All right.
He didn't treat her like they were a couple.
That's not for you to say, madam.
Okay.
That is not for you to say. Your sister lived with him. For whatever it was, they brought each other a certain amount of pleasure and comfort. Otherwise, your sister wouldn't have stayed. Now that she's not here anymore, it's not the time for you to have bad feelings with this man.
We have not treated this man bad at all. We haven't even called him or nothing.
Just a minute. Did you want to go into his house and take out property that you thought you were entitled to?
Well, I thought I was
the answer is either yes or no.
Yes, I did.
Well, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. For all intents and purposes, this was a couple of a very, very long-standing relationship. Where the heck do you come off going into their home to take property that you believe is yours?
He just had a private life.
That's not your business.
He has a problem coming out of the closet. And
listen, I don't want to hear that, Miss Wells. I'm totally disinterested in it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He beat her up. Then she couldn't walk for 3 months. Then she died right after that.
You're talking about things. How will that make your deceased sister feel better?
And later today,
we were all playing hide and go seek, and I tried to push the door open.
And you must have pushed it pretty hard. The door on his house got broken.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Connie Wells and her mother Dolores Wells say Malcolm Smith won't return the belongings of Connie's deceased sister. Malcolm says he's given the Wells everything that was hers.
You're not paying attention to me.
I'm
saying to you, get over it. Get over the anger. Your sister is gone.
This man want her my sister before she could not even walk anymore. He beat her up. Then she couldn't walk for 3 months. Then she died right after that. We don't know what he did to her.
Listen, you're talking about things.
See,
you're talking about, and you're not even talking about that because you're not suing him for it. I'm speaking. You're not even talking about things. You're suing him, not for the things. You're talking about suing him for $5,000. How will that make your deceased sister feel better?
Only reason we sued him is because he brought us Pampers and bed sheets that a week after my sister died, and he could have threw that stuff away, but he brought it just to be funny.
And plus he know where I live. It was a letter addressed to me that came to his house. He opened it. This is it right here, y'all.
Let me say it. Was this all before or after you tried to get into the house when he changed the locks?
We haven't tried to get in the house. He changed it the moment she died.
Okay.
He bought a new car, you know, and
Carolyn's, just a second. This is Carolyn's disability check, the last one for 4 days. So they said the last one goes to the next of kin. Fill out and sign the back for Carolyn's last check. What does that mean? Did he send you the check?
No. He sent her the paper to fill out
what he
that
said.
she had to send to the unemployment office or the disability office. That was inside the letter that he sent to my mother.
Fine. So did she send the papers back?
Yeah.
But I haven't got no information from it.
Just a second. Fine. That's not his fault. He sent you the form, and he told you what to do on the form.
He
said
the
fill
letter.
it out and sign it and send it back for Carolyn's last check. What's wrong with that?
The letter that came to my mother was in her name, her address. It wasn't his to open like he did.
The letter that she's referring to was addressed to Carolyn Wells, to our address. And I opened to look at it to see what it was. When I realized what it was, I wrote that little note and mailed it to her. And I don't see nothing wrong with that.
There is nothing wrong with it, Mr. Smith. Will you see to it that the plaintiffs get any baby pictures?
I sure
the
will.
Baby pictures. Her mother would like her driver's license for whatever reason and her Social Security card. Is there anything else that you have in the house that you believe that they would want that you are prepared to give them?
I'm prepared to give Connie record albums, like she said.
Fine.
They're already boxed and ready to go, and more clothes of Carolyn and personal effects.
What personal effects?
Like jewelry, cosmetics, female personal effects.
Okay.
I still don't feel like it's fair because he's picking out what he wants to give
You
up.
cannot go into this man's house and pick and choose from his things
Okay,
what you
thank
want.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's our excuse. You may step out.
Oh, you guys are so lucky I didn't get up there. This man here, okay? This man here has been real physical with my sister when she could not walk, okay? And he's been a bum.
I think the motivation was behind Carolyn's life insurance, that the fact that Connie Wells was not on it, her twin sister, and her mother and myself was.
21-year-old investment firm clerk Terry Parks is suing ex-fiancé, 21-year-old sales consultant John Woods, for bills she paid while he was in the military.
You and the defendant were engaged to be married. He went off to the military. Your claim is that while he was away, you paid some bills for him, that when he came back from the military, he ended the engagement. You want to be reimbursed for the bills you paid for him, as well as your wedding expenses and a ring that you gave to him.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you become engaged?
July 98.
And when did you go into the military, sir?
September 16th of 98.
Had you been living together?
Yes.
You returned from the military when, sir?
December.
Of 98?
Yes.
And it's the bills from September to December that you claim you paid for him?
There were others prior to, or after December that I had paid. He went in for course school after basic training.
Is that correct?
December.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when did you finally terminate the engagement?
May or June of 99.
Now tell me about these bills that you paid for him.
Okay, he moved in with me right before we got engaged. He had his bills forwarded to my parents' address, which we were living, right before he went into the military service. When he went in, the first bill came, and it was kind of hard to contact him. There was no connection.
What bill was that?
The first one was some BMG music bills. They were small, but the big first one was his associate's credit card bill.
AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T, which was $496.78.
So what did you do? You couldn't reach him?
No, I couldn't reach him. I decided to pay it off, and as soon as I could get an email or address from him, I would write him telling him the bills that I paid off and that I would expect him to pay me back. And I have here a list of the bills that I paid and the letter and his letter returning to me saying that he would pay me back.
How did you get a copy of this letter?
Before he returned to core school, he gathered up all his letters that I gave to him when he was in basic training and had me hold on to them for him.
Okay. So this is what we have, Mr. Woods. You are absolutely correct in your answer when you say that she chose to pay your bills, and she did that voluntarily. She acknowledges that she did that initially, but then you agreed to pay her back.
I was thinking at the time, I mean, I was still very grateful that she did pay him. But I was thinking I was going to come back home, we were going to get married, we'd have... Because we'd also talked about before that, you know, we were going to have the same... Our bills were going to be our bills. The money that we made together was going to pay off these bills. I didn't never expect to come home and what happened, happened.
I'm sorry about all my bills that you're getting. You didn't have to pay off the whole thing, just the minimum payment. She didn't have to make the minimum payment. But clearly that's what you had expected. Don't worry, I will give you the money. I will help you with money when I get into a school, because you had some other bills that you were going to pay.
Right.
That they took out. So clearly, you tell her back in October of 1998, okay, that you were going to reimburse her for this money. Relying on what you say here, she continues to pay your bills because you promised to pay her back. Right?
Right.
Now, so that's point number one. Point number two, sir, is that you say that you didn't anticipate that this was going to happen. You anticipated getting married and that your money would be joint money. It would be there as joint money to pay off bills. But you wouldn't even think about it. So what do we have now? No engagement, no marriage, your bills are paid with her money. Is that fair?
That's not fair.
So why didn't you start paying her back some money?
I wanted to, but I mean, we were still together at the time. Before we had broken up, I mean, we got in, her parents, or her mom, had gone through all my stuff, and just without me being there, gone through all my papers, all my paperwork, and found letters, and just told me to move everything out of the house the next day.
Found letters to whom?
It was a letter from another female to me that I had met in boot camp, a close friend of mine, and we had gone really close, and what we had in Chicago, we had left in Chicago. I had every intent of coming back home and marrying Terry. And I still had feelings for her, but what I had done in Chicago, I left in Chicago. But her mom had gone through all my stuff, found letters, I mean, even little notebooks, and circled stuff in little notebooks and read and wrote names and words on it. And the next day, they asked me to get all the stuff out of the house. I mean,
so what you're telling me is you had not been faithful while you were in Chicago.
Right.
Her mother noodled around and found that out. So you're blaming her mother. Duh. That's what mothers are supposed to do. You think she wants her daughter to marry somebody who travels a couple of 100 miles away, messes around, and then just wants to forget it? I'm going to forget that. I'm going to come home and be a good boy. Good for you. And smart for you.
Thank you.
I once told one of my children during their engagement, I want you to know something about this time in your life. This is as good as it gets. There's more affection, more interest, more doting than any other time. You have fewer problems during this engagement period. You know, you don't have joint bills and kids and in-laws and everything else that tend to impact on that romance that you have. So if you got a problem now, it's only going to get worse.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You burn letters that you don't want somebody to find.
I learned that.
By the way, did you end up marrying Chicago?
No.
You still with Chicago?
No.
You left it in Chicago.
I haven't talked to her since Chicago.
And later today.
Why did you steal his car?
To get to a different city.
And you didn't have a car?
I got a license.
No, the license, you didn't have a car, so you took his.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Terry Park says ex-fiancé John Woods owes her for paying his bills while he was in the military and for an engagement ring.
Let's get to the wedding bills, because there is no real clear-cut legal decision with regard to the wedding bills. Your wedding dresses, your bridesmaid dresses, and that sort of thing. You think that you have any responsibility whatsoever, at least partial responsibility, for the expenses that she incurred towards the wedding?
No, ma'am.
You don't?
No.
Why not?
Because before we had even broken up completely, I had asked for the ring back. She didn't have to give it back, but she did. And from there, we were still dating afterwards, and we had already planned to push the wedding about a year later.
But she had already taken care of these dresses, David's bridal, final payment in October.
Right.
That's before. You're still in Chicago, being unfaithful, while she's paying for the wedding dress. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when did you find these letters, these Chicago letters that he wrote to somebody else? In what month?
In June.
In June?
Of 99.
Oh, well, David's bridal was in March of 99. So you're still going full speed ahead with the wedding plans.
Right.
So now I'm going to ask you again. There were certain wedding expenses that she had. Why don't you think you're responsible for at least half of those wedding expenses that she incurred during the time that she really thought that you were going to get married, and only you knew that you had been messing around?
Because, I mean, for the bridesmaids' dresses, I always thought that the bridesmaids bought their own dresses. And I
Did they?
Supposed to.
All but 3.
What do you mean all but 3?
One had to be shipped out to Texas, and the 3 girls that could not make it to the shop with me, I paid for at that time.
Which they should have paid you in return.
By the way, did you end up marrying Chicago?
No.
You still with Chicago?
No.
You left it in Chicago?
Yes. I haven't talked to her since Chicago.
Okay. Just some words of advice, Mr. Woods. You burn letters that you don't want somebody to find.
I learned that.
Keeping them makes a statement. Okay. He is not responsible for the ring. He is responsible for only half the cost. I believe that that's fair. Half the cost of what you laid out for a wedding that subsequently didn't come off, even if it wasn't his fault. In this case, it was. So I'm deducting that from your total amount of bills that you are submitting, none of which he disputes. He just says he didn't ask you to pay him. He may not have asked you to pay him, but he told you that he would repay you, and based on that, you continued to pay the bills for months after that. So I am not awarding you the full amount of your request, which was some $2,400, but I am awarding you $1,908.20. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Before things happened, our parents were always in our relationship. I mean, personal things, I mean, our sexual relationship. The whole family always knew about it because of her mother.
I wasn't that meddling, but I smelled a rat, so I went looking for
जो चोरी पकड़ ले। ये है सफदर कबूतर की हैरत अंगेज़ कहानी। एक दिन हाजी बिलाल साहब ने अपने अक्लमंद सफ़ेद कबूतर सफदर को एक थैला दिया और कहा, बेटा ये अली साहब को दे आना, ये उनकी अमानत है। सफदर ने चोंच से थैला पकड़ा और उड़कर अली साहब के पास गया। अली साहब ने थैला खोला, चंद सिक्के निकाले और बाकी जेब में रख लिए। उसी लम्हे सफदर ज़ोर ज़ोर से फड़फड़ाया, चूंच मारकर थैला वापस लिया और उड़ गया। अगले दिन अली साहब शर्मिंदा होकर हाजी साहब के पास आए और बोले, माफ़ कीजिए, मैंने इमानत में खयानत की थी। आपके कबूतर ने मुझे शर्मिंदा कर दिया और मैं अपनी गलती पर बहुत शर्मिंदा हूँ, मुझे माफ़ करिएगा। इखलाकी सबक, इमानत का हक अदा करो वरना सफदर जैसा दयानतदार कबूतर पकड़ लेगा। अगर आपके पास भी कोई इमानत रखी जाए तो क्या आप सफदर कबूतर की तरह दयानतदार साबित होंगे? नीचे दिए गए कमेंट सेक्शन में अपना जवाब ज़रूर दीजिएगा। मैं आपके जवाब की मुंतज़िर रहूँगी। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में। अल्लाह हाफिज़। अगर अभी तक आपने मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो सब्सक्राइब करना। जब आप ज़िंदगी में खो जाते हैं, ना रास्ता दिखाई देता है, ना उम्मीद बची होती है, कुरान की एक आयत ने मेरी ज़िंदगी बदल दी। ववजदा दौलन फहदा, और उसने तुम्हें भटका हुआ पाया तो रास्ता दिखा दिया। मैं भी कभी एक ऐसे मोड़ पर थी, हर चीज़ से हार चुकी थी, रातों को आंसुओं के साथ सोने लगी थी। लोग समझते थे कि सब ठीक है, लेकिन अंदर से मैं टूट चुकी थी। एक दिन दिल भरा था, बस यूं ही कुरान खोला और ये आयत सामने थी। ऐसा लगा जैसे अल्लाह ने सीधा मुझसे बात की हो, और उसी वक्त मेरी ज़िंदगी ने एक नया मोड़ लिया। आज भी अगर भटक जाती हूँ, ये आयत मुझे वापस लाती है। कभी आपको भी ऐसा लगा कि कुरान ने आपसे बात की है? तो कमेंट में लिखिए अपना लम्हा, और सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर कर। कुछ था, शोहर, घर, रिज़्क, मगर ज़ुबान पर सिर्फ शिकायत। फिर एक दिन तकदीर ने ऐसा पलटा खाया कि रबिया को एहसास हुआ शुक्र ना करने की कीमत कितनी बड़ी होती है। ये सिर्फ़ एक औरत की कहानी नहीं, ये सबक हम सब के लिए है। आखिरी लम्हा दिल बदल देगा, ज़रूर आखिर तक देखिएगा। ये किस्सा तकरीबन 400 साल पुराना है। एक दूर दराज गांव में एक औरत रहती थी जिसका नाम रबिया था। इसका शोहर अब्दुलसलाम एक मेहनती लकड़हारा था। दोनों की ज़िंदगी सादा मगर पुरसुकून थी। अल्लाह का दिया सब कुछ था, खाने को रोटी, रहने को छत और पहनने को कपड़ा। लेकिन एक बात थी जो रबिया की तबीयत में मुस्तकिल खलल डालती, नाशुक्री। अब्दुलसलाम पर रोज़ जंगल जाता, हर रोज़ जंगल जाता, लकड़ियाँ काट कर लाता, बाज़ार में बेचता और जो मिलता घर ले आता। लेकिन रबिया रोज़ यही शिकायत करती, देखो दूसरों के पास कैसे कपड़े हैं, कभी गोश्त नहीं आता हमारे घर। मैं तो तंग आ गई हूँ इस गरीबी से। अब्दुलसलाम हर बार नरमी से कहता, रबिया शुक्र कर अल्लाह का, कम से कम हमें भूखा सोना नहीं पड़ता। लेकिन रबिया की ज़ुबान पर शुक्र नहीं, सिर्फ शिकायत थी। एक दिन अब्दुलसलाम जंगल से वापस ना आया। गांव वालों ने बताया कि दरख्त का एक भारी तना उस पर गिर गया और वो शदीद ज़ख्मी है। रबिया पर जैसे बिजली सी गिर गई हो। घर का वाहद कफील अब बिस्तर पर था। कुछ दिन तो गांव वालों ने मदद की, लेकिन फिर सब अपनी अपनी ज़िंदगी में मसरूफ़ हो गए। अब रबिया को खुद जंगल जाकर लकड़ियाँ काटनी पड़ती। हाथ छिल गए, पैर ज़ख्मी हो गए और पेट फिर भी आधा भरा रहता। एक रात वो थक हार कर सजदे में गिरी और रोते हुए कहा, या अल्लाह, क्या मेरी नाशुक्री की सज़ा ये है? तभी उसे अपने शोहर की वो बात याद आई, शुक्र कर रबिया, शुक्र कर। इस लम्हे उसे अपनी तमाम शिकायतें याद आईं। वो लम्हा उसकी तौबा का लम्हा था। इस दिन के बाद रबिया की ज़ुबान पर सिर्फ़ अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह आया। वो जब एक वक्त का खाना खाती तो शुक्र करती, जब आसमान से बारिश गिरती वो कहती, या अल्लाह तेरा शुक्र है। आहिस्ता आहिस्ता अब्दुलसलाम की तबीयत संभलने लगी, रिज़्क में बरकत आने लगी और दिल में सुकून उतरने लगा। कई साल बाद गांव की औरतें रबिया से पूछती थी, तू हर हाल में राज़ी कैसे रहती है? वो मुस्कुरा कर कहती, मैंने सीखा है कि शुक्र सिर्फ माल पर नहीं, हाल पर किया जाता है। नाशुक्री इंसान से सिर्फ नेमतें नहीं, सुकून भी छीन लेती है। नाजरीन के लिए एक पैगाम है कि नाशुक्री सिर्फ ज़ुबान का गुनाह नहीं है, ये दिल की बीमारी है। अगर ज़िंदगी में सुकून, रिज़्क और बरकत चाहिए तो शिकायतें छोड़ो और शुक्र अपनाओ। क्या आप आज किसी चीज़ पर शुक्र अदा करेंगे? कमेंट में ज़रूर बताइएगा। वो दिन मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट, जब हर शख्स सिर्फ कहेगा नफ्सी नफ्सी, मुझे अपनी फ़िक्र है। जब माँ अपने बेटे को, भाई अपने भाई को اور دوست اپنے دوست کو چھوڑ دیں گے، کیا اس دن کوئی ہوگا جو آپ کے لیے کھڑا ہو؟ ایک بزرگ اپنے خواب میں قیامت کا منظر دیکھتے ہیں. ہر طرف افراتفری ہے، لوگ رو رہے ہیں، بھاگ رہے ہیں، کسی کو کسی کی ہوش نہیں ہے. ماں اپنے ہاتھوں سے اپنے بچے کو دھکیل رہی ہے اور کہہ رہی ہے کہ مجھے تجھ سے کوئی مطلب نہیں، مجھے اپنا حساب دینا ہے. اس بزرگ نے دیکھا کچھ لوگ صرف رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم کے پاس بھاگ رہے ہیں، کہہ رہے ہیں یا رسول اللہ شفاعت، یا رسول اللہ شفاعت کیجیے. اور نبی کریم صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم قربان جائیں کہتے ہیں آنا لہا، آنا لہا، میں ہی اس کے لیے ہوں، میں ہی اس کے لیے ہوں. سبحان اللہ، پیارے نبی پہ ہماری جان مال سب قربان. جب سب کہیں گے نفسی نفسی، کیا نبی صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم آپ کے لیے بھی کہیں گے آنا لہا؟ کامنٹ میں لکھیے گا آج آپ اپنے اعمال کے لیے کتنے تیار ہیں. امید کرتی ہوں یہ ویڈیو آپ کو اچھی لگی ہوگی. چینل کو سبسکرائب کرنا نہ بھولیے گا اور ویڈیو کو شیئر لازمی کریے گا تاکہ ہو سکتا ہے کہ آپ کے ایک شیئر سے قبر میں زندہ تھا. کیا آپ نے کبھی کسی کو دیکھا ہے جو 3 دن تک قبر میں زندہ رہے؟ ایک نوجوان شہر کے سب سے بگڑے ہوئے لوگوں میں تھا، نہ نماز، نہ تقوی، نہ حیا. ایک رات اس کا ایکسیڈنٹ ہوا اور اسی وقت اس کی موت ہو گئی. جسم قبر میں دفنایا گیا، لیکن اسی رات ایک بزرگ نے خواب میں اسے دیکھا، چلا رہا تھا مجھے نکالو، یہاں اندھیرا ہے، مجھے معاف کرا دو. لیکن اس بزرگ نے دیکھا کہ ہر طرف تالا لگا ہے اور اوپر سے ایک آواز آئی یہ 3 دن اندھیرے میں رہے گا، پھر فیصلہ ہوگا. اگلے 3 دن تک اس نوجوان کو کئی لوگوں نے خواب میں دیکھا اور سب نے ایک ہی بات سنی، میں واپس آنا چاہتا ہوں پر دیر ہو گئی. لیکن اب سوال یہ ہے، اگر آپ کی موت آج ہو جائے تو کیا آپ تیار ہیں؟ جواب نیچے کامنٹ سیکشن میں ضرور دیں اور ایسی ہی حقیقت سے بھری کہانیوں کے لیے سبسکرائب ضرور کریں. ملتے ہیں یہ ایک آیت روز پڑھو. رزق رک گیا ہو تو یہ ایک آیت روز 3 مرتبہ پڑھنا شروع کرو. ایک شخص کا ہر راستہ بند تھا، کام نہیں چل رہا تھا. پھر کسی نے کہا روز صبح یہ آیت 3 مرتبہ پڑھو. سورہ الطلاق آیت 2 اور 3 وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَل لَّهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. ترجمہ، جو اللہ سے ڈر رکھتا ہے اللہ اس کے لیے نکالنے کا راستہ بنا دیتا ہے اور اسے وہاں سے رزق دیتا ہے جہاں سے اس نے سوچا بھی نہ ہو. سبحان اللہ. 2 ہفتے میں اس کا حال بدل گیا اور اس کام میں برکت آئی جہاں سے سوچا بھی نہیں. واو. رزق صرف پیسہ نہیں، سکون بھی ہے، صحت بھی ہے. آپ کا سب سے بڑا رکا ہوا کام کیا ہے؟ کمنٹ میں لکھیں. اور اگر دل نے ہاں کہہ دیا زندگی بدل دی تو سبسکرائب آپ بھی آزما کر دیکھیں. آپ نے کبھی محسوس کیا ہے کہ زندگی رک گئی ہو، نہ رزق چل رہا ہو، نہ دل کا سکون مل رہا ہو؟ ایک شخص تھا، ہر طرف سے پریشان، کاروبار تباہ، گھر میں بے چینی، نیند تک گئی. ہر دعا کرتا لیکن کچھ بدلتا نہیں تھا. پھر ایک دن ایک بزرگ ملے. انہوں نے صرف ایک قرآنی وظیفہ بتایا. بولا بیٹا ہر دن 11 مرتبہ سورہ دوحہ پڑھو. ہر دعا کے بعد بس اس سورہ کو دل سے پڑھنا شروع کرو. اس نے دل سے وظیفہ شروع کیا. پہلا ہفتہ سکون ملا، دوسرا ہفتہ کاروبار روشن ہوا، تیسرا ہفتہ زندگی مسکرا اٹھی. اللہ کا وعدہ ہے تیرا رب تجھے نہیں چھوڑے گا. سورہ دوحہ ان لوگوں کے لیے ہے جو تھک چکے ہیں لیکن چاہتے ہیں کہ اللہ ان کا ہاتھ تھام لے۔ آپ نے کبھی سورہ دوحہ سے روحانی سکون محسوس کیا یا کوئی اور وظیفہ جو آپ کی زندگی بدل گیا ہو؟ کامنٹس میں ضرور لکھیے، اور اگر یہ ویڈیو دل کو لگا ہو تو چینل کو سبسکرائب کرنا نہ بھولیے۔ ملتے ہیں نیکسٹ ویڈیو میں۔ کیا اس وقت کی توبہ قبول ہوتی ہے؟ ایک آدمی تھا جو زندگی بھر گناہ میں ڈوبا رہا، شراب، جھوٹ، حرام، کسی چیز سے نہیں رکا۔ لوگ اسے دیکھ کر کہتے اس کا تو کوئی حال نہیں، لیکن ایک رات اس کا دل کانپ گیا، مسجد کے پاس سے گزرا، اذان سن کر اندر چلا گیا، سجدے میں گرا، رو کر صرف اتنا کہا، یا اللہ مجھے معاف کر دے۔ صبح لوگوں نے دیکھا وہ مسجد میں سجدے کی حالت میں ہی دنیا سے چلا گیا، لیکن اس کا چہرہ روشن تھا۔ اللہ کے لیے کبھی دیر نہیں ہوتی، اگر دل سے توبہ ہو تو آخری سجدہ بھی جنت کا راستہ بن سکتا ہے۔ کیا آپ بھی کسی کو جانتے ہیں جو گناہوں میں ڈوبا ہو لیکن توبہ کا راستہ ڈھونڈ رہا ہو؟ اس ویڈیو کو ان تک ضرور پہنچائیے اور کمنٹس میں لکھیے، کیا آپ مانتے ہیں کہ آخری لمحہ بھی زندگی بدل سکتا ہے؟